everybody. It is 7 a.m. on Tuesday, March 7th. Your government taco forecast in Baton Rouge. Expect cloudy skies with a high of 71. Coming up on OTB, Kim Mulkey joins the show at 8:30, and we talk to Nick Underhill of New Orleans.football at 9 a.m. You can follow today's show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN, or catch us on YouTube at the 104.5 ESPN channel and subscribe for daily content. Hour number 1 of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
Let we go!
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah!
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, they said I gotta come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo.
Yo, what's happening, y'all? March 7th, 2023. And Jake, our watch has finally ended. That's right, Carr watch. Came to an end yesterday, like I told you, boy. Get the makeup ready. We're going to Egypt. As the very old school Hollywood pharaonic, David Carr, signed to, that's a weird way to set that up, signed with the New Orleans Saints, made it official yesterday. Remember, a report broke right at the end of the show yesterday that it was looking like the Saints were the front runner. A deal could be done by the end of the day. Little did we know, I think a deal was done pretty much, Jake, within the hour. And then the next thing was, okay, what are the details? And we're going to get into the details right here because I think the deal on the surface, the numbers, Jake, are not fully representative. Imagine this, right? With an NFL contract, the surface level numbers are not fully representative of what the numbers actually are. So you may see the headline and be like, ooh, I don't know the price tag. And then you get into it a little bit, you're like, okay, I don't know about that price tag. It can, like, you can kind of land on the other side of it a little bit here. Welcome in, myself, Jake, Danny, Mario, the whole crew is here. If you're hanging out on youtube.com/1045 ESPN, give us your takes, man. You can get in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat. We'll be breaking it down all morning long. We got Nick Underhill. It's Tuesday. Perfect timing for Underhill to come on at 9 a.m. and give you even greater insight than we can into the intricacies of this Byzantine contract. And, of course, we got Coach Mulkey coming on at 8:30 to break down the SC tournament. Look forward to a little Selection Sunday, a little March Madness, OTB mailbag. So lock in, folks. It's going to be a fun 3 hours, and look, just like that, the picture of who the New Orleans Saints are going to be next year starts to clear up as you now have the most important piece on the football field. You now have your quarterback, and it is 32-year-old Derek Carr. Jake, my initial reaction was, I don't care about the money. Because what are you going to do with money if you don't have your quarterback, right? I mean, there's no point in really paying anybody else or doing anything free agency if you don't have a quarterback that can help you win. And then I saw the contract, like I said, the headline numbers, and I was kind of like, okay, I know I don't care about the money, but that feels like a lot of money. But the Carfax revealed that it's not quite as much. Jake, what was your initial reaction to the Derek Carr news yesterday?
There was a lot of quarterback news yesterday.
Yes.
So, it fell in line with that, and he gets his deal. You have Geno Smith, we'll get to, he gets his deal. Rumors are maybe Tom Brady yet again not done.
Oh, yeah.
Phillip Rivers, apparently, according to Rich Eisen, might not be done. So
what's Rich doing? Because Rich also, that's also the Brady stuff, right?
I know.
Rich, chill out, dude. I mean, who's talking to Rich? Who's stirring these waters?
I know. I mean, I know Rich is in Indy, and he's got his ear to the ground, and that's where everybody ascends there for the NFL Combine, but throwing out some pretty big ones.
Rivers? That feels like that ship has sailed. Maybe not, though. Look, he was awesome last time you saw him. Colt's going to bring him back.
But, I mean, so it was a lot of quarterback news.
A top 4 quarterback. I don't hate bringing Phillip Rivers back to be like a
that's probably true.
mentor.
Yeah.
And like kind of show him the way, actually. Like if I was the Colts and I drafted a top 4 quarterback, I really actually don't hate that. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
But as you said, like the initial headline numbers, I hated it.
Yes.
I didn't like any part of it. But as you'll break down, and you've done a good job of laying out here in the document, those aren't the true numbers. And so it's a different conversation because if it was like the headline numbers, I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
But these make a lot more sense. And we talked about it leading up to it. Like the number was the biggest holdback for me because, look, hand up, like I've got to see it on the field, but at, 37 million, I can't get you there. But if it's closer to 30 million, that was a different conversation. I would have even liked it to have been 25 million, but I guess that's not the world we live in when Geno Smith just got over 100 million. For 3 years.
I mean, you look at the quarterback, you just look at quarterback contracts, and 25 million just not going to happen nowadays. Not at least if you're in that top 15 range, which Carr, I think we could all agree, is probably like in 12 to 16, right? Like in that range. So it looks like the headlines read 4 years, 150 million, 100 million guaranteed. There are potentially 100 million in guarantees, as in year number 3, 30 million would be guaranteed for injury, but it's really, Jake, more like a 2-year, $60 million deal with an additional 10 million guaranteed afterwards. So like later on this year, 10 million in year number 3 will, okay, actually let's start here. Through the first 2 years, imagine this, an NFL backloaded contract, right? First 2 years, it's $60 million, and all of that is guaranteed. So obviously that is very attractive for Derek Carr. As you sign that contract, you immediately make all of that money. Now, in year number 3, he'll have an additional $10 million guaranteed after this first season. So that's where you get basically it's $70 million in guarantees because he's going to finish the season. He'll still be on the team as next year is guaranteed as well. So that $10 million then will kick in. Now he's scheduled to earn $40 million in total in year number 3, and then $50 million, all of it non-guaranteed, in the final year of the deal. So if that all sounded like a lot of numbers, here's what you need to understand. And Mike Triplett did a great job in New Orleans on football of breaking this down. This deal is essentially 2 years, $60 million, with a $40 million option for year 3 and a $50 million option for year 4. And for what it's worth, Jake, this checks every box that we have laid out over the last few days, or at least I laid out, right? I said, ideally, I want something where you're really only committed for 2 years and you get out of it in year number 3 if you want. This is exactly that. And ideally, you're in that 25 to 30 million range, and this is exactly that, with the 30 million over the first 2 years. Now, there will be some dead money have to be spread out at the end if you do go to leave in year number 3 because of the $10 million guarantee. But like how the Saints account, they account for a small portion of the cap to kind of handle that dead money. I think when they do all their budgeting to handle that dead money to make sure that they can still get good players.
Because they got a lot of it.
Yeah, but they do a good job. There's only one time where it ever really screwed them. I can't remember what year it was. Maybe it was like 14 or 15. I want to say they had 20% of the cap in dead money. But then ever since then, it's never been like it's never been a massive issue. He only carries a $7 million cap charge for this year. So once again, trying to maximize the talent that you can get here immediately. And look, the bottom line, man, well, in my opinion, if you still wanted to draft a QB, you could as well, since it's only a 2-year deal. Like if you wanted to draft a guy, take a shot, see if he develops behind him, and then you want to get out in year number 3, and you'll be on a cheaper overall, like you'll be paying less for quarterback overall because you'll have a rookie on a contract. Like you can do that with this contract if you want. So you're actually kind of one step closer to the Cam Jordan leading fan strategy, which is sign a veteran, draft a young guy, and see what happens after that.
Well, now that we know that, and now that we know the contract situation, now it's going to be what's he going to do for you in the field. And so that's what we have to talk about. That's what we have to break down because the Carr watch is finally over.
Yep.
Now he is a New Orleans Saint. We kind of know the deal. And there's more to get into with the deal. But now you have to figure out, okay, what are you going to do for the team?
Let's do one last note on the deal. After Lamar Jackson's about to get paid, big news on that. We'll talk about that later. Daniel Jones, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Herbert, Tua. This will not be in the top 15 of quarterback contracts. So here in about a year, this is going to look even more friendly. Now, to your point, Jake, how does this year go? And are we celebrating because, oh my God, it's not in the top 15 of contracts and he's playing like a top 15 quarterback? Or does the regression you saw last year continue and all of a sudden it looked like you caught a falling knife, which obviously you never want to try to do?
You don't want to catch a falling knife.
No.
That's it's going to hurt.
It's going to hurt.
Probably give you a little paper cut, maybe something more severe.
The thing about Derek Carr, though, the knife could be falling, but who knows if it's – I'm not convinced that the blade is pointing down, right? That handle might fall into your hand and you're going to stab it right back up. I think that I'm on the record as feeling that last year was the exception to his recent play rather than the rule.
And I'm on the record the other way. And, when you start talking about his age and you start talking about what they did to go get him a top 5 weapon in the NFL, and that's when he struggles, like, I'm going to have questions. It's an offensive line that wasn't great, but it was good. You had, now, Waller was in and out, but you had Darren Waller, you had False Moreau at tight end, you had Devontae at receiver. Now, Hunter Renfrow was in and out of the lineup, but you had weapons.
Yeah.
And you got protected. We was that last week, we laid out exactly how much time he had in the pocket. There's going to be questions, and who they surround him with is going to be a big one here. Now, offensive line, we know that you've put a lot of resources into that, and so that's something. We don't know running back right now. With Alvin Kamara's situation, we don't know where the Saints are going to go. You had Josh Jacobs last year, who was the best in the league last year.
Yeah.
We clowned the Raiders yesterday for that. Don't pick up the 5th-year option, then you franchise tag him. There was a lot around him, last year.
But then what about 2 years ago, where you didn't have Devontae Adams, but you saw those other pieces, and he threw for 4,800 yards and went 10-7.
Yeah, you had Josh Jacobs. You had every piece.
Yeah.
Outside of Devontae Adams.
Yeah, and it went well. And then Josh McDaniels comes in, and it all goes awry.
Yeah, I mean, but are we going to sit here and act like Josh McDaniels? I mean, he's had a pretty good history with Brady and others. I mean, he doesn't have.
Hasn't he just had a good history with Brady? I mean, has Josh McDaniels had success outside
I'd have to go
of
back
the
and see some of those Denver years.
Has he had success
He
outside of the Belichick bubble?
He had Tim Tebow. Now, that was his fault. He drafted him in the first round.
It's probably the owner at that point, right? Being like,
I don't know, man. I think it was Josh.
Okay, well then, thank you. You just proved my point then. Just proved my point that Josh McDaniels is the root of all evil. And the Devontae Adams thing isn't great as well. He over-committed to Devontae Adams. Carr did. He targeted him a ton. It didn't result in a ton of catch. Like it went awry. But I guess when I'm looking, Jake, because all the pieces you just laid out were there 2 years ago, and it was great for the Raiders.
Okay, I don't want to fall into because he's signed now, we're trying to make it sound different than it is from a year ago. So that's all. That's my only point. Just giving you the weapons that he had there in Vegas, what he's potentially going to have, which we don't know. That's why I was kind of getting to running back. Question mark, because you don't know legally what's going to happen with Alvin Kamara. You don't know what's going to happen with Michael Thomas. Rashid Shaheed was fantastic last year. Can he have another year where he builds upon that, has a great second year? Chris Olave is a stud. Tight end, you still have some question marks, right, with contract situations and where you're going to go there. So it's right now, it's still a big question mark who he's going to have around him. And I know who he had around him a year ago, and they were really good weapons.
Yeah, and I think that two key pieces outside of the weapons that he's going to have that he's never had before is, like you said, he will have a good offensive line. And more importantly, he'll have a great defense, right? He'll have as complimentary of football as he has ever played with in his entire career. At least you would think so statistically. I mean, the Saints were a top 10 defense last season. They poured a lot of resources, even in like coaching changes, to try to get even better this offseason. Certainly offensively, you hope that they engage in a bit more risk, and partially that is responsible for some of the good defensive numbers, as they were so bland offensively that it kind of, helps out because you didn't engage in any risk. So yeah, Carmichael's going to have to grow. I think obviously that entire offense scheme is. But I do think that he will benefit greatly from having he's never even sniffed a top 10 defense. By some metrics, he's had like the 19th best defense before, or like the 22nd. If you pair him with a legitimate top 10 defense, and I like Olave and Juwan Johnson and Rashid Shaheed, and you're going to add still, and maybe it's a rookie, no idea what's going to happen with Kamara, to your point. But Mike Thomas is interesting because Mike Thomas, there's no more fun yet maybe fruitless game than playing the what is Mike Thomas trying to intimate on social media game. But he retweeted and liked a ton of Derek Carr posts yesterday, and he tweeted, "Thank you, Jesus." I don't know why. Maybe he was just feeling grateful. Maybe it was unrelated to Derek Carr. But there were reports coming out of Indy this week that Thomas and the Saints, the door wasn't closed, right? If they can maybe agree to a deal, though I think, probably somebody's going to be willing to pay him more than the Saints are going to be willing to pay him. So I want to get my hopes too much up. But if you are going to create a deal with Thomas, this, I think, helps your chances of doing so. And if you could get him back, well, then all of a sudden you're kind of straight on the weapons front. Like Mike Thomas pushes you across the finish line. You still don't have a running back.
Yeah, he does if healthy and in there for 17 games. For
sure. I mean, and that's why the Saints are probably going to be, hesitant to overcommit to him, and that's probably why I don't think it's going to work out in the end. But in theory, that would make you feel good about the weapons that Derek Carr would be surrounded with.
In that 21 season that you're talking about, Hunter Renfrow had over 1,000 yards, 103 catches. They had Darren Waller. Zay Jones was on that team, had 47 catches. Remember, Zay Jones kind of went off for the Jags this year with 900 receiving yards. Also had Henry Ruggs, who was a first-round pick. Obviously went ahead of some really, really good receivers. He had 469 yards, 19.5 yards per catch that year. We mentioned Foster Moreau, Josh Jacobs, and others. But that was his. So, I mean, still good weapons. And so now that's the challenge. Like before we break down exactly what went wrong last year, that is the challenge. Now that's the next question for the Saints. What can you give Derek Carr? What can you surround him with? Right? Running back, it always pains me to say, so a little precursor, I always say it, you can find a guy later in the draft, mid-rounds of the draft, that can be serviceable. Now, are you going to find Josh Jacobs there? No, you're not. The Raiders didn't know what they had with Josh Jacobs. Classic Raiders. He's a really good back. That's why they selected him in the first round. The receiver portion of it, you have to figure out Michael Thomas. You have, now. Because you have
until March 17th.
Well, I'm not. Yeah, right. I'm not even talking you got to tell Derek Carr exactly right now. He might know. You got to tell him, here is our plan. That might have been part of the reason he's here. They might have had a different plan than we know about. But he needs to know, because you don't need to waste time and effort on both sides if it's not going to be where you're at. So, that's something they have to figure out. And, where they go in the draft. A lot of people think they're going to go defense. Was Derek Carr said, hey, no, we're thinking about this position for the draft. So the pieces around him now are going to be the most crucial part for me.
I mean, and so we'll see where the Saints go. The reason why I said March 17th on Mike Thomas is that's when his new contract, he would be guaranteed. It's a deadline built into the contract rework to say, hey, decide what you want to do. Because if he's still on the Saints roster, he gets $30-some million guaranteed 17th. That's obviously not happening. Free agency starts on the 15th. So that gives Thomas a couple of days to test the market against what the Saints are telling him, and then see where he will potentially end up. So, look, what do you think? Get in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat, youtube.com/1045 ESPN. Get your comments in there. We'll break him down next. We'll continue to talk quarterbacks. The NFL as a whole is a big quarterback day, like Jake alluded to. And hit the like button. Share it with your friends. Keep it locked here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Get Gordon and get it done. 225-888-8888. You can follow him on social media at Get Gordon, where you keep up with all the latest news, such as, Jake, LSU star and Lake Charles native Gavin Guidry. Guess what? Gavin Guidry now on the G Team. You can go watch this from a couple of days ago. Gordon sit down with the superstar Angel Reese as this LSU women's hoops team prepares for March Madness. You can check out, or how about this? Always giving back to the community. Thanks to Alexis Morris and Angel Reese being so good at basketball in the month of February, Jake, Gordon McKernan raised a total of $5,860 for the Turner Syndrome Foundation. So get Gordon, get it done. He's getting done in the courtroom and on the court.
GetGordon.com is the website. You can find all the cases they can handle, client testimonies as well. On the website, have a live chat. Also on the site, at GetGordon is the handle on all social media, 225-888-8888.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring, wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, or NOLAFlooring.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364.
It's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR. More reaction to the Derek Carr signing with the New Orleans Saints. We'll recap LSU Butler in baseball and Pels hoops. Join us for Tuesday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back, OTB. Hanging out here, talking a little Derek Carr. As it is official now, the New Orleans Saints have found their quarterback at least for the next 2 years. And then I imagine, well, I don't know. I guess it depends on how the quarterback market develops, Jake, in 2 years. If you're happy with their Carr, you may be like, okay, well, then you'll restructure before the $40 million. But this quarterback market is about to get crazier and crazier. I mentioned all the names that are about to get paid earlier, right? Mm-hmm. You got Lamar, who we'll get into in a second, Daniel Jones, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, Tua Tagovailoa. Like $40 million in 2 years may end up being a bit of a steal. So we'll have to cross that road when we get there. And for Derek Carr, one thing I do like about this deal is, remember remember we broke down the Athletics quarterback tier list last season?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Carr was pushing tier 2. He's either right at the bottom of tier 2 or into tier 2. And basically the breakdown was all about how he has not necessarily had the best franchise support, et cetera, and that he remains kind of a tantalizing prospect. Well, that excuse is out the window now. And Jake, it's funny because maybe it's not even completely fair to Carr because, as you point out, he could have way less weapons to work with in New Orleans, but people aren't going to be like, oh, well, he's in a bad situation in New Orleans. If he does bad here, they're going to say, okay, he is bad. It's not just the Raiders, right? Like the Raiders being such a bumbling franchise has been the reason or been the excuse for Carr to explain the defects if you wanted to advocate for him. Well, although this is the reason why I like the Carr signing, because as we talked about last week, I need the Saints to desperately avoid proving to be the bumbling franchise, right? Like that's the main reason I like this. I don't think this makes you Super Bowl good. I think this makes you playoff good. And I like a franchise trying to win as much as they can year in and year out. The Saints need to prove that they can be a consistently successful franchise outside of the Peyton Breeze era. You don't want to go back to being the Raiders, who you were for much of your history, or at least this, what we think of as the Raiders in then kind of the last 20 years or however long you want to put on it, right? And so that's why you signed Derek Carr, is try to avoid that. And for Derek Carr now, you have somebody who's going to be, if nothing else, supremely motivated because he just got cut after signing the big deal, right? Think about it 2 years ago. The Raiders are 10-7. He's coming off a great year. They signed Devontae Adams. Like everything was trending up.
I mean, went and got his college receiver.
Yeah, Fresno State. So everything was trending up. And a year later, it all shattered. You're cut. The contract's gone. All those weapons are gone. You get forced out of Las Vegas. So if nothing else, you're going to get an incredibly motivated Derek Carr. Now, maybe it doesn't pay dividends, but 32 years old at a quarterback, not that old, in my opinion. Now, he has been hit a lot, so maybe I'm wrong there. But if you look at quarterback play, how they're protected, like these guys play deeper and deeper and deeper into their career. This should, in theory, be the time when he is 2 years ago, you would have said he was in his prime. And this last year was a step back. And so the question is, where is he going to be closer to? But again, I do love the fact that he's going to be motivated to prove everybody wrong and to say that, no, I wasn't actually the problem. It always was what I was surrounded with, which we'll see. Maybe that's not going to be the case.
So this is the Saints trying to continue to duct tape and super glue a little bit of the run that they had. A remarkable run, like a window that was open far longer than most NFL windows, right? I mean, ever since Sean Payton got there, he had Drew Brees. That window was open. I would even say it was open over the last couple of seasons. No Drew Brees in one, and then no Sean Payton in one. But the Saints were at a crossroads. They could have blown it up a little bit and started over, but they didn't have maybe a high enough pick to do that, to get the quarterback. So they decide to continue to kick the can down the road and try to keep what they currently have and piece it together.
So where this gets interesting to me, what are we defining as a window, right? Are we talking about like a Super Bowl window? Because I think there are Super Bowl windows, and I think the Saints had that for a while. Now I think it disappeared with the departure of Breeze. But I don't know if
you get in the playoffs. I mean, you have your championship relevant.
Okay, so then that's what I'm saying, though. So I don't know if I want to describe it as a window if I want them to do everything they can to be a playoff team every single year.
I mean, no. I mean, the window's a real thing, and you're either in it or you're not. And we could pull up the list of 32 teams, and we could tell you which team's window is currently open to make a postseason run and which one is closed.
So I'm saying, okay, so like a lot of people view this as, oh, so what? The Saints are going to go like what? 9-8, win the South, and then lose in the wild card round. Is that within the window. If you're making the playoffs, you're in the window.
Yeah, we've seen a team at 9-7 win the Super Bowl.
Look, I'm down then. Then I say continue to kick the can down the road, if that's how you want to describe it. Continue to duct tape and super glue, because I want you doing everything you can every year to make the playoffs.
Right, but knowing that if you did tear it down, it's going to be maybe 2 or 3 years of struggle, but knowing that your window is going to be different as far as championships. It's not going to just be a 9-8 situation, which the Saints kind of feel like they've been in that for, 3 years?
Yeah. Which to me, though, is better than 2 years of 4-13, through which there's no guarantee that you will come out on the other side. And if you're a vet player, Jake, you can probably appreciate this. Like, the vets were hyped about this move yesterday. It's tough to tell a vet, it's tough to tell a vet, hey, we're gonna take a step back, we're gonna tear it down, we're gonna bank on getting a quarterback draft in about 2 years. I think we're gonna be really good again. And maybe that works out, but that is a hell of a lot of risk to incur. It's a lot of bad football you're asking your fans to pay for and watch. Again, that's gonna push vets out the door. Like Tyrann Mathieu, Cam Jordan, Alontae Taylor.
You would push the vets out the door.
They were all very excited by this news yesterday. Okay, but even if you had like a young, it's going, anybody who's on the team wants to be a part of a franchise that is trying to win as much as possible.
Well, there's no question about it.
And that's what this move says.
Yeah, there's no question about it. The vets want to. I mean, the vets want to win. They want to have championships. They want to have a legacy. Yeah, there's no question. And sometimes you get to that point, and that was my question. Like, do you feel like the Saints are at that point? Because, there is dead money. There's veterans on this team that they're still making a lot of the salary cap. And the Saints haven't done it. The Saints, they haven't drafted a first or second round quarterback since Archie. We laid that out yesterday.
Yeah. No, look, that's like I said, that I tweeted this the other day. That is football malpractice. It's not like you've been some incredible quarterbacks franchise. Now, you had 15 years there, certainly, but to never test the waters in that regard is ridiculous. And I would still be open to drafting a quarterback this year. I'd still be open to drafting a quarterback next year. You absolutely should, within those first 2 rounds, be open to it either year. This does not, like I said, this doesn't preclude that. Like, you go get your guy, and if you cut Carr in year 3, you'll have a guy on a rookie contract, and if you believe in him, well, okay, he's going to be in year 3 of his deal, and overall, you'll end up, after cutting Carr, even with the third year, $10 million in guarantees, you'll still be paying less than you would for quarterbacks. But as far as like dead money in the cap and everything, again, like I said, in 10 years of doing this job, I've seen it affect the Saints one time or twice. We'll say twice. It was in 2013 or 14, which I think was really before they maybe fully figured out how they do it now. And then when you had COVID, and so the salary cap dropped, which is something that none of the accounting ever accounted for, right? Like when you're laying out these plans years and years in advance, and the wizard Kai Harley is doing his numerology and all of his number manipulation, nobody ever thought, oh yes, the NFL will make less money to the point where the salary cap will drop. It took a literal global pandemic to cause the Saints cap issues to affect them a bit, and it did cost you guys like Trey Hendrickson and others, and obviously that's been that was not ideal. But like, I'm not overly concerned about the cap like others are. The Saints have just managed it for years and years.
Well, I'm not saying I'm terrified of it, because they have done a good job, but part of that's too why you have to look at rebuild or continue to try to build, because of the potential, at some point maybe it catches up to you. So it's definitely a factor, but they do as good a job as anyone at finding a way. And for as much as they were over the cap to be able to even give a contract out like this, it's remarkable the work that they do. Now, eventually, T, there will be a point where that catches up to you. Is it 5 years, 10 years? We don't know.
How though? What if you just continue to spread out the hits? So like you say, okay, we're going to do 5% of the cap. We're going to count that to be dead money in every year, and then you just continue to void these years and spread them out with the contracts here or there, and then get out of the other ones when you can, and then you just say like 5% of the cap is going to be dead money every year. I guess I'm saying I don't know if it's all going to come to a head in the way that it did the COVID year. Now, you could argue that maybe accounting for, and this is a fantasy number, I would see the argument of saying that, well, that's a waste because every percentage point matters. It's the NFL. You can't just not pay. You can't just not have that money there.
If you have like 10% of your cap, you're like, man, that 10% could be used on
no doubt. No doubt. And so that is fair. If you just think that it's a bad overall strategy, I guess what I'm saying is I don't know that I believe that it will ever, barring something unforeseen like nuclear war or something, right? I don't know that I mean, that's
if that happens, I'm not worried about it.
well, it's kind of the idea of like a modern day pandemic, though. Like that's what it took for the salary cap to go down. I don't think it's going to go down. I think it's going to go up, and I think it's why you're going to see these quarterback contracts continue to push 40, 50 mil. But I don't know. It's hard to argue with the cap because it's Byzantine, and Kai Harley understands it about better than anyone. And you'll have people who will tell me I'm wrong, but I think it's easy to subscribe to. Okay, well look, the Saints, like nobody spends more time thinking about the cap than do the New Orleans Saints and Kai Harley. And so if they feel comfortable in making these deals, I'm going to attribute to them a level of expertise that is beyond my own, I guess is where I end up at the end of the day.
All right. Let's get to some mock draft stuff.
Let's do. Okay, so yeah,
Can we
okay.
do that?
Well, yeah, let's close the book on Carr for today. Continue to get your comments in. We'll read those, see if there's any worth mentioning here on air.
I'm just curious what other people, now that you have Derek Carr, where they think the Saints are going to go, because we talked about the weapons.
Yep.
But there's a clear need on this team that's maybe more glaring than any offensive weapon that you can add, and certainly not knowing your top receiver and your top running back, if they're going to be with you in week one.
So let's break it down next here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Go to All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com, All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com, and join the All-Star family. And it is a family, whether you're leasing, you buy a new vehicle, maybe you buy a Toyota certified used vehicle where you still get that great warranty coverage. You can choose your kind of level of warranty too at the time of purchase, Jake. So basically your car says, hey, it's time to go get serviced. You bring it in Tommy Waggis back and the boys and girls over in their service department. They get you right. You can actually drop off your car. They'll drive you home, give you text updates throughout the day so you approve everything as it's happening. And then they'll pick you back up and bring you to your car. It's a customer service that is unparalleled. And they're right there off an airline highway, All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.
You go to the website, buying, leasing, and renting. If you're buying, you can do a lot of it online. Customize that vehicle. Murdered Out Mini can be done online. You can go into the dealership. Leasing the full fleet is available. Same thing in the rental process. No matter what you're looking for, they've got you covered. Just go to the website again, allstartoyotaofbatonrouge.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game.
Join me, Jimmy Out and Mike Delicano for the Tuesday edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in the heart of Mid-City. Game Time presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Esther and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Ow! What's happening, y'all? Welcome back, OTB. Been talking a lot of Derek Carr today. Let's talk about some other. Let's talk about some mock drafts here. Maybe where the Saints are now projected to go. As one school thought Jake yesterday was kind of okay. Well, now you can afford to take the best player available, which could be a quarterback, in my opinion. Now that you have quarterback kind of solved, or at least committed to, right? Solved, we'll see. But you believe you have found your solution. And then we'll get into some of the quarterback market as a whole, which had a ton of news yesterday. Jake, what's going on in these mocks?
So a lot of trades, obviously, at the top. It has Indy trading up with Chicago to select Bryce Young. So no real surprise there. Well, maybe a slight surprise, because what we talked about yesterday, him not going to the combine and competing when C.J. Stroud felt like he was on his heels. C.J. Stroud had a really nice combine. Throwing the football, tested well. We know what Anthony Richardson did as far as the testing, but, Will Levis had a good combine. So 3 quarterbacks had a good combine showing, and Bryce Young, the only one not to work out. So how much was he, how far was his lead, I guess, to be the number 1 pick compared to what those other guys did? And is going to be probably the biggest question, but they still have him going number 1 overall.
Well, and trading up to go number 1 overall too, right?
Yeah.
Which is doubly interesting because as much pressure as is incurred, Jake, being the number 1 overall pick, it's even more pressure when a team gives up an additional first-round pick and like a second or a fourth or whatever. Like,
right.
You just have to be that much better. So that does surprise me kind of a little bit.
Bryce Young would be the lightest as far as his weight. Round 1 quarterback since at least 2006. As well as one of the shortest passers drafted since the AFL-NFL merger in 1967 at 5'10".
Wait, he would be repeat that?
He would be one of the shortest passers drafted since the AFL-NFL merger.
Yeah,
I'd like to see a number on that.
He's Kyler size. I think Baker maybe has him by like half an inch, but we live in the most short quarterback friendly era.
Yeah.
But there's still
the tape doesn't show a lot of batted down passes though.
No.
It's kind of like Joe Burrow with his small hands. He's like, did I fumble a lot? Is that on tape? No. Okay, move on.
So that's what I talked about yesterday with Aaron. I'm not worried about Bryce Young seeing over the line, being able to find those angles. Like he's grown up at that height. He knows how to do that. I'm just worried about. I mean, you know,
he has
better than I
grown
would, Jake.
to that height.
Exactly right. He was molded by it. But no, what I'm worried about, and you would know this way better than I would, is just the physical trauma, right? Of a body that's slight holding up with freaking the Bosa brothers hitting him.
Yeah, and part of me is like, quarterbacks get protected more than they've ever been before. It's not even remotely close, and that is still true. But Bryce Young is someone that, as we saw like against LSU and many times in his college career, he can buy time with his legs and get out of the pocket, create a play downfield. Those are the shots you're worried about.
Yep.
It's really not even the in-the-pocket shots. Again, you can't even land on the quarterback.
True.
But it's because he's really good at extending plays. I mean, he is tough to bring down. For being someone that is slight, he is very tough.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that doesn't matter. Y'all have heard me say this before. Julian Edelman was the hardest player I ever tried to tackle in the NFL. Not the biggest guy. There was something about his balance and the way that he could distribute his weight, and it was very tough to get him down.
It's like
Bryce Young has like some of that.
It's like Work Done back in the day. Nobody ever squared up Work
Right.
Done. He would always just kind of slip through.
So, I mean, obviously, Bryce Young, number one, not a huge surprise, but we'll see if C.J. Stroud, who is number 2 to the Texans in this latest mock, can pass him up. As far as the other quarterbacks, who's going to replace Derek Carr? Anthony Richardson at 4.
Oh, that would be so Raiders.
That is the most Raider selection that you could have.
That's peanut butter and jelly, dude. Raiders and Anthony Richardson. That makes all the sense in the world.
As far as Will Levis, number 9 to Carolina.
It feels like
You might be safe, Mario.
That feels like Carolina would be incredibly happy if Will Levis fell to them at 9.
With the Saints' original pick at number 10, the Eagles, Bijan Robinson, running back out of Texas.
I would love it. The Saints could have
That's
gotten Bijan Robinson.
a little surprising.
Well, they just let Miles Sanders go?
Yeah,
right?
He is a free agent. I just feel I guess it's a luxury pick right now because Philly's roster is stacked.
Yeah. Like they're one of probably 2 rosters in the NFL that could draft a running back that high.
Yeah, I mean every running back they put in last year was so solid, like any of them, because they have a remarkable system. Now that system and Shane's now the head coach of Indianapolis, so and we'll see what happens there. But the system was really good. I mean, no matter what player they brought in, it felt like it worked. Offensive line, there might be some, like Kelsey might retire, like we don't know that, so maybe it changes up just a little bit. Jalen Carter all the way down to 12 now for the Houston Texans. If the Texans get C.J. Stroud and Jalen Carter,
should be very happy. Should be very happy. If they get those picks, you feel like you've come out of a post-Deshaun Watson world feeling pretty good.
The only person that cares about this is me and my oldest son, Jackson. Jordan Addison to the Chargers at 21. So we'll keep on moving on.
Yeah,
but
where do the Saints go? And then we'll go.
Saints at 29. Brian Brees from Clemson, defensive tackle. So defensive tackle is the position that everyone has the Saints selecting. Darnell Washington from Mel Kiper's latest was the only one I've seen that was not a defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Now, Darnell Washington had a hell of a combine. I mean, he had the, I think, third best 20-yard shuttle overall, any position, right? But defensive tackle seems like everyone believes that is the biggest need.
Darnell Washington just feels sexier. Because also the Saints kind of need a tight end as well. But we'll see. All right, look, let's go to break. We'll close out mock draft talk next here on OTB.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Corval Toyota in Opelousas is spreading the love this month with amazing deals. Get 3.99% financing on new 23 Highlanders, and as always, you'll never pay over MSRP. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. 'The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba.
Charles Hanniger, join us for the Tuesday edition of Hanny Time. We'll have more on Derek Carr to the Saints. Plus, Dwayne Colucci joins us from Las Vegas for Championship Week. Hanny Time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, so we got a couple minutes here to close out hour one. We went long there at the beginning as there was some massive news to break down. Jake, anything else from this mock that you think is worth mentioning on the way out here?
I mean, no, really the only reason we brought it up is because it has another, draft expert, and take that for what it's worth, having, a defensive tackle at 29 for the Saints. And it's a position of need, certainly, but, bringing in a new quarterback that you want to put weapons around, like that's obviously where a lot of our minds are going to go. And, it depends on who's there, and if one of those receivers, this is a deep receiver class, like if Zay Flowers from Boston College falls and he's there, that might be very difficult for you to pass up.
Yeah. Franchise tag deadline is today at 3:30. One situation to be watching is Lamar Jackson, as I don't expect a deal will be reached. Ozzie Newsome did say, quote, "Today and up until 3:30 tomorrow, a lot of energy will be utilized in trying to get a deal done. If not, we'll put the franchise tag on him." And you may say, oh, okay, so Lamar Jackson's not going anywhere. But not so fast. There are two types of franchise tags. There's the exclusive tag where you retain all the rights. Nobody can talk to him. That's going to cost $45 million, Jake. They ain't going to do that. And there's the non-exclusive tag, which comes in at $32 million. But that means that teams can start to talk to Lamar Jackson. They can give him an offer.
Right.
You can choose whether or not to match, or you let him go and you get 2 first-round picks. So the question is, if they do non-exclusive at $32 million, which I believe they will, if a deal isn't reached, is there a team out there that willing to give Lamar the money and give up 2 first-round picks? I know amongst
I think so.
Yeah, I would think so too.
Yeah,
Right? Falcons would feel right in line with that.
You're talking about MVP. There is some teams and offenses and schemes that, I think he could even thrive at the same level or exceed the level that he has been in Baltimore. Can you imagine him in San Francisco? I know Trey Lance, but can you imagine him there?
No.
Oh,
San
be cheating.
So much fun to play that game with because they're already good without quarterback.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Go to Accutemp of Baton Rouge, AccutempBR.com, AccutempBR.com. That BOGO deal's about to run out, y'all. So remember, if you buy a new AC unit right now, you get the heater for free. You can go ahead and schedule online at AccutempBR.com on your AC, heating, and electrical needs, and you're going to get that service to the highest degree. As I always tell you, it's not just lip service, though, y'all. Go look at the online reviews. If you don't trust me because I'm paid to do this, that is true, but I would hope I've established some level of trust with you because I genuinely believe in Accutemp, and you will too when you work with them. Accutemp of Baton Rouge.
Yes, another one of those companies that I was with before I came on OTB. So what T-Bob was talking about, this is a company that I've trusted long before we started doing spots with them because they truly are the best. And that's not just us telling you like we say every single day. The internet hates everything, but they love Accutemp and AccutempBR.com. So go to the website, have a chat today on the site, AccutempBR.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Good morning, everybody. It is 8 a.m. on Tuesday, March 7th. Your government taco forecast in Baton Rouge. Expect cloudy skies with a high of 71. Coming up on OTB, Kim Mulkey joins the show at 8:30, and we talk to Nick Underhill of New Orleans.football at 9 a.m. You can follow today's show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN, or catch us on YouTube at the 1045 ESPN channel and subscribe for daily content. Hour number 2 of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
Let we go! All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah!
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, they said I gotta come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
What's up? Welcome back. Hour number 2, OTB. Okay, so we got Coach Mulkey coming up here at 8:30. Normally we do mailbag here. I'm going to push mailbag a bit because we have so much to talk about today. We haven't even got into the Pelicans yet. We haven't even got into Brian Kelly, more like Chad Kelly, as Brian Kelly putting some alpha Chad energy out there saying, I want to play the best teams. I'm like, poor little old whiny Nick. Why is the schedule so hard? Boo-hoo. Screw you, Nick Saban. We'll get into all of that. But first,
when does the mid-major college basketball automatic bids that have already been punched, when's that?
When we do the DraftKings read, we can throw that in there for sure, dude.
Just like the read like itself, and that's it.
Well, no, I mean like we can bring up, because DraftKings promotion is around college basketball, as so when we do the DraftKings read, then yes, and I think that's probably the best time to talk about it, as there's a sweet deal, $5 run. I mean, right now you bet $5 on college hoops, and you instantly get $200 in free bets, but more on that in a little bit. Also got great deals for the existing customers.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to, so if you're just joining us, we've been talking a lot of Derek Carr this morning. Jake, I found the athletic quarterback tier list piece that originally made me start to be like, maybe Derek Carr's better than I think.
Remember.
This is before the year.
I know.
Okay.
But remember, I was opposed to where he was, and you were for him. So not much has changed.
No, not much has changed. Also, look, to be clear, this list had Russell Wilson in tier 2, at the top of tier 2, number 8 on this list. It had Deshaun Watson in 9. It had Tom Brady in tier 1 at
Tom still had a good year.
3. Would you have considered him a tier 1 quarterback though last year? I mean, it doesn't matter. That's like even though he may be back, but that's
I was about to say. I mean, honestly,
it's a weird side road to go down. But I'm going to read this all, okay? And granted, this was written before this last season, and so we will not know how it changed until we get the next athletic quarterback tier list, which is coming up in the fall. And what I love is they talk to, it's all like, it's NFL head coaches, NFL executives, assistant coaches, it's a wide swath of professionals that they're talking about here. So this is coming off of the good year from 2 years ago. Rich Bisaccia.
God, how's Rich Bisaccia not a head coach?
Because it's the Raiders, and that's kind of the theme of this whole breakdown. Carr jumped to his highest standing since 2017 with the second best average of his career. He did it after weathering a season marked by John Gruden's resignation, Henry Rugg III's arrest, and a playoff appearance. This is from an anonymous head coach in the NFL. Quote, He's as close to tier 1 Derek Carr is. Just from an intellect standpoint, he always puts him in a good position. He makes a lot of good decisions, but similar to Dak Prescott and Matthew Stafford's conversations, there's something different in Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen. Derek Carr is a notch below those guys. He can't quite overcome when it's bad around him, end quote. A study conducted last season showed Carr getting worse support from his own defense and special teams than any of the 41 quarterbacks with at least 3 seasons as a starter over the past decade. The Raiders, during the past 3 seasons, ranked 12th in offensive EPA and 32nd in combined EPA on defense and special teams. The latter explains why the team only had a 25-24 record despite having good production from their quarterback. Now, this quote comes from a defensive coach. Carr's been an easy target to blame for some crazy stuff there, and he's kind of a dorky guy a little bit. He's easy to make fun of. But I think the more he has played and what they did with last year, all the turmoil they had, and Derek being a steady hand with solid numbers, that helped them. An NFC West coach thought Carr had powered through perceptions that he shrinks in the face of the rush, but all agree Carr needs to be protected better than some. And here's the final quote from a defensive coordinator. I've coached against him quite a bit, and he sees it. He makes checks. He can operate the offense. He has all the physical skills. His issue is just doesn't like to be hit. You hit him a lot, then you can get to him. But if he is on time, on rhythm, protected, he can do it all. So that's kind of what we've been barking at this whole time, right? Is this is a guy who is good, not great, and by great I mean like those tier 1 guys that can overcome when it's bad. He's not necessarily going to drag you up, but if you have a 7-10 roster like the Saints do, and pretty solid special teams, even though Will Lutz has to be better next year, and a top 10 defense, like this is a guy that can turn that 7-10 into 10-7, in my opinion. But as you see here, key is going to be that offensive line protecting him. The Saints O-line is going to have to be great, and obviously the Saints defense is going to have to avoid like falling off a cliff or taking some major step back.
Yeah, so as you were talking there, I was trying to see the number of sacks given up for the Saints. Actually, the Las Vegas Raiders gave up, I think it looks like 10 less sacks than the New Orleans Saints. That's a little surprising because you have so much investment in your offensive line. I guess we just assume with the Saints offensive line, but yeah, Vegas gave up less amounts of sacks than the Saints. Because you were talking about him getting hit and protected.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, give me the so that is kind of one of the red flags here. The Saints, and it's funny how the Saints have been positioned here, right? They've been positioned. Look, we've invested in the offensive line
heavily.
It wasn't great actually last year, right? You did invest in it, but you got rid of Teron Armstead, who was really your best piece, and then your first round pick got hurt, and then got hurt at the end of the year, so he's not playing again. And then Ryan Ramczyk, who was on an NFL Hall of Fame trajectory for a while, took a step back, and he dealt with some injuries. And then, while I like the improvement out of Cesar Ruiz, right, Eric McCoy, so you dealt with a ton of injuries on that offensive line last year. So in theory, the Saints' offensive line should be an upgrade over the Raiders. But I'm with you; it's not a guarantee that they are. It's definitely not. It's just that they have tried everything they can to make it way better than the Raiders. Those guys have to stay healthy, and then you got to have guys like Ramczyk, McCoy. Play to their ability. You got to have Ruiz continue to improve. So we'll see. We'll see. Where were they at the time to rank thing or time to pass thing compared to one another?
I'll have to pull that back up because I had it last week.
Because sack numbers are also like, is your quarterback holding on to the ball? Because there's nothing worse as an O-lineman than a quarterback that holds on to it. And there's nothing better than the guy that gets rid of it. Like, isn't it funny? The Saints offensive line was always top 5 in sacks even up with Drew Brees. It's funny how that works. It's almost like he protected himself by getting the ball out of his hand a lot of times.
The Dolphins had the fewest sacks in the league for like 9 straight years in the 80s.
Because Marino.
Yeah,
just Marino.
He was getting that thing out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I mean, it is a two-way street. But I think there are other analytical measures that can maybe weigh in on this better. And time to throw would, well, I guess that's even though depending on the quarter. Maybe it's like time to pressure. Maybe we can ask the gunner. He could probably have some analytical insight.
Yeah, I had that number pulled up last week, and we can go back and we can find it. I was trying to look as a team, maybe exactly what they graded out. So hopefully I can have that coming up in this next break because you're going to have the same offensive line, we think, coming back for the Saints.
Who is going to be the offensive line? It's going to be McCoy at center, Ruiz at guard, Ramczyk at right.
I mean, you can have.
Can we say Penning at left yet?
He'll have to. He'll get the every opportunity because
even that though, that's
a first rounder.
Just a massive question mark because we're talking about needing to protect the quarterback at a higher level than what the Raiders did. And then Andrews Pete. I haven't seen a lot of Pete talk. Is Pete back?
Nick was talking about him. A lot of people thought maybe a cap cut. So we'll see. I mean, he just. There's too many ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
There's more valleys than peaks. I mean, anything that you want to throw there, it will apply to Andrews Pete.
So from center to the right, you are set. The left side is going to have question marks.
All right, so I've pulled up pass protection grades. This is the Pro Football Focus as a team, offensive line, what they graded out in pass protection. The Las Vegas Raiders came in at number 9 in the NFL. With a total grade of 73%.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. The Saints, 26th.
Yeah.
In the NFL, 61.7 grade on Pro Football Focus.
I mean, that makes sense. I think the system probably hurt them and injuries hurt them. I mean, they didn't have their O-line out there for a lot of times. And again, I don't think you want to talk about a cap casualty, Jake? Teron Armstead would be one of the arguments on your ledger as to why these cap games are dangerous, because having to get rid of Teron Armstead affected you really poorly, both in the pass and in the run game. So those guys are going to have to have to stay healthy, and they're going to have to play to a higher ability if they're going to help Derek Carr avoid what that defensive coordinator was talking about, where if you hit them, you can get to him.
Knockdown rate. So this is sacks plus hits divided by pass blocking snaps. The Saints came in right in the middle of the pack, 15th in the league.
What about the Raiders?
The Raiders actually were 10th in the league. So Derek Carr got hit more, but he took way less sacks.
Getting rid of the ball. Love to see it. Mobile. Getting rid of the ball. Derek Carr protecting his O-lineman. Hey, what can I say, dude?
You are best.
No, look, I got to be honest though. It is that breakdown from the head coach and everything last year. That is the first time where I remember thinking, okay, maybe Derek Carr's been dealt a really bad hand. So again, this is proven, right? The same way that the Eagles loaded up, gave Jalen Hurts all the weapons this year. It was a prove-it year for Jalen Hurts. It was a prove-it year for Tua Tagovailoa, which is a bit interesting because I felt like he proved it, but a lot of people don't feel like he proved it. There's a ton of Miami Dolphin quarterback rumors floating around out there. Who else was it prove it for this year? I'm missing another one. I'm not going to say Geno Smith because he was never expected to be good going into the season. There's two. Maybe it was just Tua and Jalen.
I don't know if this is the team you're looking for. It's a very interesting quarterback situation is the San Francisco 49ers. Like with Brock Purdy coming back, is it a prove-it year for Trey Lance? Is he going to get that opportunity? Because George Kittle's like Brock Purdy, and George Kittle's a veteran face of the team.
Yeah,
it's like Trey Lance, who got traded up to select him. Was it second overall?
I think third,
second or third overall, and he gets hurt. Here comes Brock Purdy, gets the ears of the veteran players, which is very hard to do. They listen when this guy talks, and they're like, man, this guy's leadership qualities are through the roof. It's like, oh man, what happens with Trey Lance? We barely knew you. I don't know. Is this does he get the opportunity to prove that he's worth what he was selected at and given up for?
I feel like the Niners at this point just gotta, just chalk it up to the game almost.
Now they had the ability to because of that roster.
Yeah,
not many teams could chalk up a top 3 quarterback that you gave up assets to select, but John's done such a great job of putting that roster together that he kind of can.
Yeah, if the vets are saying if George Kittle is out here publicly saying Purdy, I don't know. I don't remember George Kittle ever saying Garoppolo. Right? Am I crazy?
I don't remember that. No.
Not over Lance.
I mean, and also look. Purdy found Kittle when he was kind of forgotten about by the other quarterbacks.
Oh, that's fair. Okay, okay. Now he might be a bit biased.
But I mean, he might be. But George Kittle knows how good he is.
That's true.
And they started winning all those games in a row when Brock Purdy started throwing to George Kittle.
All right, let's go to break. When we get back, we got a ton of stuff that we could talk about, and then we got Coach Mulkey coming up here at 8:30. Keep it locked on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
I want to remind you to go to Donaldson Glass and Body, dgbauto.com, dgbauto.com. Since 1977, getting your cars right, man. Started back in 1977, Jake, just doing glass repair. And like a little garage, it looked like. And now they've grown into this massive building, and the amount of work they're doing just boggles the mind. But the reason why they've grown over the 50 years is because their customers are consistently satisfied. Still, the best place to go get some simple glass repair. They go to dgbauto.com, talk to Kenny Frederick on the text line, and it's a great way to just line everything up. You can get your car right, man, extend the life of your vehicle.
dgbauto.com, DonaldsonGlassandBody.com, truly a one-stop shop. Been doing it the same way since 1977. You're going to get fantastic customer service, going to be transparent, not going to try to trick you at the end like so many others do, right? So go ahead, log online, DonaldsonGlassandBody.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench. Anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
It's the details that make the difference between good enough and simply the best. At Skag Power Equipment, the difference is in designing lawnmowers with your convenience and comfort in mind. At Skag, we believe that quality and substance matter, and that you'll appreciate the attention to detail and craftsmanship we put into every single product. Thick steel and heavy-duty components provide you with unmatched reliability and performance. Skag, simply the best.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-100.
Join me for a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, reacting to LSU and Butler from the box. We'll have Glenn West and Sharif Ishak talking Saints. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
So, I've been watching Derek Carr mic'd up videos. We're gonna bring you some mic'd up later.
I do. One thing I love about you, and I mean this, I truly do.
This sounds like such a. It sounds like a no offense situation,
No, it's
but
not.
let's see where it
It's
goes.
not.
Danny's nodding his head there behind the glass. Yeah, okay. Let's see where it goes.
Okay, you're also like Danny wore like a Yankees hat one day, a Dodgers the next. Okay, so we got some real question marks with Danny lately.
He's a bad person.
I do love how quickly you fall in love with something, or how you get to falling in love with it after not really being sure. And I mean, I'm not. That is not shade. That is not a slight.
No, imagine that. It's almost like I, enter a situation that I don't know about, unsure. I look at all the information, and then I decide where I objectively land on it. And it took me a while for Carr. I bounced back and forth. No. There were days. Certainly, if you listen to the show, I was flip flopping. There were days where I wasn't into it, and I was like, oh, you know what? You convinced me. It makes more sense to roll with like a Baker Mayfield or something, or it makes more sense to. Like, oh, at $35 million, then maybe like it's like, well, why are we moving away from Dalton or whatever, blah, blah. But after taking in all of that information and talking to guys like Nick and everything else and everybody else every week, and obviously bias plays a part in all of this, right? Biases play a part in all of our decision making. So I don't know that all of this isn't really, like, I don't know the extent to which all my opinions are influenced by the fact that I want these Saints to be good, to be interesting, right? And that's even from a fan and a professional perspective. So, like, I'm fully acknowledging that I don't know that I could ever be deemed an objective observer in this situation. But taking all of that into account, I looked at this situation. We've talked about it daily, basically, for weeks now.
Car watch.
And about a few days ago, I firmly landed on, what did I say? If it's like you can get out in year 3 and it's 25 to 30 million, I would be very happy. Because I think signing him makes you the favorite to win the NFC South. And it was really last Thursday or Friday when I arrived at the idea that the Saints need to prove success outside of the Peyton Breeze era. Like they need to prove that they can be, even if you want to say like that they can be what they were in the Dome Patrol days, but consistently, right? Making the playoffs. Maybe not doing anything in the playoffs. Now, obviously, you want to win a game, right? The Saints, that was one of the big faults of that era is they never won a playoff game. But you want so you want to win at least one when you eventually get there. But like, I'm cool and would love to prove that you can be the Steelers and that you can transcend multiple sets of teams but still stay relevant and then try to build off of that. And again, I think that blowing it up is dangerous because you risk just falling back to where you've always been, like the Falcons have done, like you've seen other teams do that have always been bad. And I want the Saints to prove that they can break out of that cycle of badness and become a legitimate NFL franchise. And I think, don't know that I'm right, but I do believe that Derek Carr is the best path to doing that for this next season. I think that would be the best summation of my thoughts on this entire ordeal, I think. I don't think they're Super Bowl good or anything like that, but I think they're good enough to win the South, and I applaud that.
They are, and depending on what some other teams do at quarterback, that might change.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we could all agree there with the Panthers and the Falcons. More the Panthers for me than the Falcons.
What if the Falcons got Lamar? Since that technically could be, I mean, if they go, if they give up the 2 first-round picks and they wanted to commit the money, they could, in theory, unless he signs a deal today, if he gets a non-exclusive tag.
Look, I know some people have different opinions on Lamar. I'm in the opinion that he's a really good NFL player that is very unique, and if you get the right coach and put him in the right system, he is going to thrive. And I don't mean that like he's a system quarterback, but I'm talking about more like you build around him. Like you go get running backs that fit his skill, you get tight ends, you get some receivers that fit his skill, because that's what you should do.
Yeah.
You should see what your franchise quarterback skill is, and if he has elite skills, which Lamar has, you build around that. So it's not a slight at him. He's got a skill set, build around that skill set. Yeah, I mean, Lamar changed things. I mean,
yeah,
the Falcons roster still has – we could go down and we could say, okay, this position, that position, but they've also got some exciting young players. Drake London, Kyle Pitts. I mean, you just got a running back in the later rounds that overachieved in his rookie season. You have so you have pieces.
Yeah.
Right? And so, yeah, that would change things. The Panthers, though, that roster, That roster's got some Jimmies and Joes.
I mean, all the teams went 7-10, right? Right? Didn't the Falcons go 7-10 as well?
I believe so, yes.
So it's like, yeah, like, so whoever gets the best quarterback in the offseason becomes the favorite by default.
And then,
especially because we're expecting a step back from Tampa, which maybe we're off base there, but I don't
their offensive line gets healthy, that helps Tampa because, I mean,
Yeah,
they were playing with, I mean, guys off the street they were playing with, like, semi-pro players, it felt like.
Yeah.
There by the end. So, obviously, Kyle Trask has to prove that he can be something in the NFL. So the quarterback situation changes the dynamic now, but the Saints just changed it because now that they get Derek Carr, they're the favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on who the Panthers get, they could be the favorite.
Yeah, they apply a little pressure.
If the Falcons can't just go get a guy, they got to go get a dude like Lamar Jackson. So that changes them as well. For Tampa Bay, if they're really rolling with Kyle Trask, that is what it is, and it's going to have to be on him. So, obviously, like right now, yeah, the move for the Saints, it puts them in front of the division. But now you got to find out what the other teams end up doing. Even if the Panthers draft a quarterback, I still think you feel pretty good about where the Saints are within the division.
Especially next year. Now,
Yes.
maybe they get better long-term because they do get like a Levis at 9, and he ends up being great, and then you could be in real trouble. But again, you don't plan based around that, in my opinion, right? You make them prove that. And then you have to react.
All right, let me. I know we got to go. We got Coach Mulkey coming on, but the Panthers could also be. And all jokes aside, we joked at the beginning. There was a report from Rich Eisen that Phillip Rivers might be thinking about coming back.
Yeah.
Frank Reich was his coordinator for a long time.
So Steichen was his boy, you said.
Yeah. So Shane was with us in San Diego for a couple of years.
Okay.
And then he came back as the offensive coordinator after he left, so he has a great relationship with Phillip as well. So, like, Phillip, you go sign back with Indy, and they draft a quarterback. You're his mentor. Panthers draft Will Levis. Frank Reich's like, hey, Phillip, like, can you come start for 5 weeks until, Will Levis is ready? Would Phillip want to do that? So there's all kind of possibilities for the Panthers and some other teams. But just kind of, in the back of my mind, remembering that they have that relationship. And if you want to draft a quarterback now, a lot of times when you draft a guy in the first round, like nowadays, you play right away compared to what it used to be. You set like a full season. Maybe it's 4 games. Maybe it's just to be there as a mentor. Maybe Phillip doesn't play.
That's actually why I would bring him in almost. Is like, now if he wanted to play great, but like, his body's got to be feeling some type of way after a year off. Like, I feel like your body almost loses like its calluses. Maybe it gets better. I don't know.
No, I completely agree with what you're saying. Now he's been a football coach, so I don't know if he's out there throwing every single day. Now I will say this is also a man that I never saw warm up.
Yeah, I mean, he had that great quote where he's basically like, I'll just go I'll just go work out my arm a couple times.
He does this and then goes and throws full bore.
Yeah.
You ever seen a greyhound stretch before it races? That's him. That's what he says.
I still don't understand because I feel like they do.
No, they did. They hit the one downward dog and then let's go.
Okay.
That's his downward dog.
That's a downward dog.
Right there. Yep.
But no, I would bring someone like Phillip in if I had a super young quarterback, to teach him how to be a pro, essentially, right? How do you approach film?
Yeah.
How do you do this? How do you do that? How
because he's the ultimate at
answer
that.
questions. Yeah.
And he's humble where he would accept that role because he's been a coach for a year. Like maybe. I don't know what his situation is there, but maybe he wants to coach at a higher level. He got a taste of coaching. He's like, man, I want to get back in the NFL, then I'll go do something else at a higher level.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And if you have a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal, then you can justify the vet minimum, which would actually be pretty high, but not compared to all these other quarterbacks.
So, with all that being said, you've got your quarterback. If you're the New Orleans Saints, you think you have your guy. If you're Tampa Bay, you don't know who is going to be in Atlanta or Carolina. That's the situation that probably changes the most. I think Carolina is wanting to make a splash. We'll see if they're able to get that done.
All right, coming up next, let's talk to Coach Kim Mulkey here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
What do I got, Jake? Go to Riverlands Insurance. Riverlands Insurance by calling Thomas and Megan. Email the father-daughter superstar insurance team. 225-206-1517. 225-206-1517. Check it out, Jake. Last February, LSU hired strength and conditioning coach Katie Gallery, former softball player for Beth Tarina, actually, back then. She was moving down from Illinois, searching for a house in the 225 area. She got in touch with Thomas and Megan for advice on pricing and coverages, and Well, they were there for her, and the bottom line is that Thomas and Megan stayed with her the whole way and finally able to find that perfect deal for her. She is now a part of the Riverlands family. You can be too. They will save you money, y'all. And even if you think you're happy with your current insurance setup, why don't you see how happy you really are? Put it to the test. Call 225-206-1517 and see how much money they can save you. Riverlands.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've got that blue sky. I've got that sunshine.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR. More reaction to the Derek Carr signing with the New Orleans Saints. We'll recap LSU Butler in baseball and Pels hoops. Join us for Tuesday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to OTB. Every single Tuesday at 8:30, we talk to the legend, Coach Kim Mulkey, fresh off an SEC tournament. Selection Sunday coming up this Sunday. And then March Madness begins. Coach Mulkey, what's going on? Thank you for joining us this morning.
Well, I am off today. Going to watch a little film with the team. No practice. Going to take them to a little crawfish boil and get ready for the last and most important part of the season.
So, okay, so that's exactly where I wanted to start here, Coach. How you approach this it almost feels like an exam dead week in many sorts of ways. Like the hay is in the barn. You did so much incredible work to earn that final top 10 ranking, only 2 losses on, all of these numbers. We've been celebrating champion all year long, but it's such an interesting sport. And it's like, okay, well, now the final exam begins. How do you approach this week before the big finish?
Well, what we're going to do is, I haven't seen them since we lost that 17-point lead and lost to Tennessee by 2. So we'll meet in the locker room and we'll watch film of the second half of that game. How did we lose the lead? I will motivate them and give them some printouts and things about it's only one possession, Coach. Well, you only lost by 2. So I've got a lot of things to share with them today, to teach, to flush, to motivate, a little bit of all of that. And then we will start back on the court tomorrow. Certainly we've got a long time because the selection show will be Sunday and we won't play again until the following weekend. So we've got a lot of things to work on. Don't know who we're playing until Sunday, so we can't work this week on any specific team. But I bet you we'll be working on how to attack the zone better.
Coach, what was your biggest takeaway from the SEC tournament? Because when we caught up with you last week, obviously you wanted to go out there, win a game. That's not something y'all did a year ago, and you said that was a point of emphasis. And so you did get that done, but what was maybe the biggest takeaway from the tournament?
Well, you can bet I'm going to be the positive one because I mean that. We didn't win last year. We progressed this year, and we won. And I'm going to keep perspective with that. I'm going to keep perspective that Tennessee was picked to finish ahead of us in the league, and they did not.
Yeah.
So losing to Tennessee is not like losing to some Joe Blow University. We understood they had 2 first-round draft picks. We understand they've got a lot of seniors. We understand they were picked ahead of us. But at the same time, you had a 17-point lead. I've got to teach, how did we lose that? And so I will do a little bit of both in making them understand you did something that the team last year did not do, so you're heading in the right direction. Then we'll flush it and move on and go enjoy the crawfish and just, stay sharp. Stay sharp.
Well, and Coach, something that you sent us at the very beginning of the season, I'm pretty sure it was in preseason camp, was a poem of sorts called Only One Possession, right? It was only one possession.
Yep.
Why must my coach scream? My poor defense period of the basket, but what can one hoop mean? Will you be busting that back out in the meetings coming up this week?
You can bet it'll be busted out today in the meeting. It will be emphasized because all of them, before we watch that film, will be able to go, oh, my gosh, I gave up that 3 right there. But we only lost by 2, Coach. Oh, my gosh, I didn't block out right there. But we only lost by 2. So those are the messages that you send. It's every possession counts. And then you talk about the last half of the season. And this is it. You're one and done. I will certainly keep perspective when we're done that we will have only lost 3 games. Can you imagine going the whole season and only losing 3 games? We've lost 2, and we can't lose any more than 3. And I will tell them that's progress. But where are you going to lose that game? Are you just going to be content to win 2 in the playoffs this year since we won 1 last year? Or are you going to want to, just motivating them, guys? That's what you're trying to do. You just lay out the plan.
So, Coach, when you go back and you do a little bit of a self-scout this week in practice, knowing that you're not going to know your opponent, is it something where you go back and work on the things that gave you trouble last game? Is it the last 10 games? Like, how do you approach that self-scout?
All of it. We're going to start with the zone that gave us trouble. That's how we lost the lead. They went to a 2-3 zone, and we acted like we'd never attacked the zone in our life. We work on it every day. And then I'm going to make them answer. When we called a timeout, last timeout, we're down 1. Very simple play. We work on it every day, and we didn't have one of the guys set a screen. How did you forget from that timeout to the floor 5 feet did you forget that? And you just stood and you just watched. If you don't pull those things out and make them answer you, then I'll never get their attention. And I don't want to hear, my bad. Well, yeah, it's your bad, but tell me how we can make you better, and remember that when you leave that time out. Those are things that you got to get detailed with. And it's not to call out a kid, but yet it is to call out a kid because we're all on the same team in that locker room.
Coach, you just made me think of something, and you know my father-in-law, Chris Tilley, he was my high school football coach, and when you would come back to the huddle, you'd be like, hey, Coach, that was my bad. He'd hit you with the, well, sure as hell wasn't my bad.
Yeah, fair.
Well, would you like to hear my response when they say my bad?
Yes.
I say, my bad, get your you-know-what beat. That's what I tell all of them.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad, and I'll say, yeah, and that gets your beat.
Yeah. Hey, that must have been a learned behavior back in the day in the 80s at Louisiana Tech. Both of y'all have it.
Well, Chris, Pat was quite the receiver. As people probably don't know, my ex-husband was one of his quarterbacks, and he said Pat ran some of the best routes, because if you just look at Pat, he's not going to wow you with his size or his speed, but the boy could cut, he could get open for you, and that's why he ended up playing in the NFL as long as he did.
Coach, you and I think you were touching on this, so maybe this is just you expounding a bit, but basically you were talking about your team. Look, you can't lose more than 3, right? And so I guess my question to you is, with so much pressure on a tournament setting like this, where it all comes down to this, and it's a game like basketball where there is variance, right? And that's why you play 7-game series and like the WNBA, the NBA, and all these things. That's why you play multi-game series, is because, well, one game can go anyway. How do you mentally prepare your team to not let the pressure get to them with everything on the line?
Well, pressure is self-inflicted. Each kid's going to feel pressure. I need to make this shot in order to stay on the floor because that's what I do best. And if I'm not making shots, I can't help the team. I get all of that, and that's all part of it. Here's what takes place, and our kids are learning this. When you are in a tight game, and we haven't been in many tight games this year, when you are in that tight game, the difference is do your job. It's not just give the ball to Angel Reese or give it to Alexis Morris, go score because you're better than everybody else. When you're in a tight game, you're not better than everybody else. Everybody's pretty darn good. So if your job is to dribble, if your job is to set a pick, if your job is to take, everybody has to do it in a tight game. And when one doesn't, you don't win. And that's what happened to us in the Tennessee game. We had a shot to take the lead with seconds to go after that timeout, and one kid didn't do her job. And if we don't hold each other accountable, then we never fix that. And everybody's going to get, not wrath, everybody's going to get to see their mistakes and what they didn't do right to contribute to losing that lead. And I am the first one to tell them things that I would like to have done better. One of the things I kicked myself since that loss is, should I have gone to a 2-3 zone, because they killed us in the paint on the board. They killed us with second chance points. They were coming off screens and we weren't helping. It wasn't the 3 ball that was killing us. So I kept asking myself in the game, do I go to a zone here? Do I go to a zone here? So I will tell them the things that go through a coach's mind. But then I tell them, you got to hold yourself accountable too.
Coach, your last one, and we always appreciate your time. As far as like bracketology and maybe where you're seated, obviously like you're going to be hosting a game, which is a big advantage knowing the crowds you're going to get. But like, how much information do you try to get? Can you get that information just to maybe where you're going to be, and maybe you can get an idea of who your opponent is?
No, we do not. We have no access to that, and I've said it many times. The AP poll has absolutely zero, nothing, nada to do with seedings. And let me give you some examples. You find sports writers protect their own teams that they cover. You would think they somewhat protect their own leagues that they cover. Guys, we had 3 sports writers on the AP poll vote us out of the top 10 after that 2-point loss. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. The bottom line is none of that matters. AP polls are someone's opinion. The committee is all that matters. And what they do, they try to follow a criteria of starting with the net. And there's 14 points. I can't tell you all of them. Non-conference strength of schedule, who you've beat in quadrant one, who you've beaten here. We've got everything sitting pretty except the non-conference strength of schedule. And that is something, as I've told y'all many times, you don't apologize for that. Good Lord, I had no idea I was going to have 9 new, all these transfers that could play coming in. You can't go undo the schedule after you sign contract. So that's going to weigh in and probably will be a 2 or 3 seed. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, you're going to have to play good teams to go very far. Yeah. I have no clue if we'll be in the Greenville region or if we'll be in the Seattle region. I do pretty much feel very comfortable that we will not be paired up on the same side as South Carolina. I just can't see that happening.
Coach, I believe that the Selection Sunday, y'all going to be watching at the PMAC that's open to the public?
Yes, it's open to the public. I would encourage people to come. You can sit behind us, and we'll sit. They'll drop the big screen down, or the big, whatever you want to call it, above us in the PMAC, and they'll drop it to the floor level. Everybody will get to watch it. Wow. And it's fun. The selection show itself lasts about an hour. It'll be at 7, I think, this year on ESPN, and then after that, we do media sessions. The media will wait for us, and we go in there and we talk.
Well, that is going down this Sunday in the PMAC. Coach Mulkey, best of luck. And depending on how the schedule, we'll see you again next week. Oh.
Well, it'll either be Friday, Sunday games here, or it'll be Saturday, Monday.
Okay, perfect.
We don't know until ESPN tells us. TV controls that.
Oh, no. Coach, I apologize. I don't know if you can still hear me. I think your phone call dropped. But just know that we love you, and you're an ass kicker. And we thank you for your time every single week. One of the greatest coaches in all of, college sports, really. Coach Mulkey getting her squad ready again. PMAC this Sunday for the selection show, open to the public if you want to go celebrate with this team.
Just quickly, I know we got a break. Right now, latest bracketology, LSU is a 3 seed. And they're in the same side. Virginia Tech will be the 1 seed in their bracket. Maryland would be the 2 seed. LSU the 3, and the 4 seed would be Villanova, 5 seed Tennessee.
There you go. Coming up next, closing out hour 2, and then Nick Underhill coming on off the bench.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
CentralPlumbing.org, 925-8552 is the number, 925-8552. When you overthink it, don't overthink it. Okay? Go to Central Plumbing. They've been at it 5 decades. Flat rate pricing, too. So, no BS, hidden fees at the end. We're like, wait, what just happened? No. You know exactly what you're getting into up front. Make a fully informed decision about who takes care of your issue. They're licensed, bonded, insured, and they're going to come in and they're going to get the work done quickly. And if you're in a tough spot, Jake, weekend, holiday, 24/7 emergency service from your friends over there at Central Plumbing.
When you go to centralplumbing.org, right there on the homepage, you'll see the fleet, which is ready to go. So nothing's going to be too big. So if you want to overhaul your business with a remodel, they certainly can do that. But they can do something as easy as a guest bathroom. If you want to remodel that, they can handle any job, big or small, doesn't really matter. And always tell you about this. If you want to go tankless with a tankless water heater, never run out of hot water again, call Central Plumbing, 225-925-8552.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
You'll love the deals this month at Corval Toyota in Opelousas. Get 3.99% financing on new 23 Highlanders, and as always, you'll never pay over MSRP. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas. Happy Town, USA.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364.
Join me, Jimmy Out and Mike Delicano, for the Tuesday edition of Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers. We're at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in the heart of Mid-City. Game Time presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 11:30 The Tiger.
All right, so we went very long with Coach Mulkey there, so we got about 2 minutes here. Then we got to go to break, and then we're going to come back with Nick Underhill to break down all of your New Orleans Saints questions. We'll get, some more insight in terms of, like Jake was talking about, what weapons could they end up bringing in? What's the latest on the Alvin Kamara situation? How does this affect the Saints' drafting needs coming up? Is it fair to present it like I did earlier? Now, I was working off of Mike Triplett's football piece, so I imagine Nick will likely agree. But is this like a 2-year, $60 million deal with that third year, $40 million option, fourth year, $50 million option? All this and more coming up with Nick. And by the way, this is New Orleans football season. If you want to be signed up, they got some just great pieces going up constantly over there. We'll also we will get to the Pelicans in the final hour and talk a little LSU baseball last night. Stature Hurd looked awesome. It's just that, it's not every day you sign a massive quarterback after thinking about it for so long. So then it's kind of dominated the show day. And we still got to get Jake's daily March Madness breakdown. So keep it locked. Going to be very full and a very fun final hour of Off the Bench. Hit the like button if you love the Saints. Hit the like button if you like LSU. Hit the like button if you hate animal cruelty. Okay. If you do not hit the like button, I'm going to assume.
If you don't hit it, you like Alabama.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Straight up. Yeah. It couldn't be me.
And Florida.
Couldn't be me.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Who's Florida? The team we used to play.
Don't trigger
RejuveMedical.com.
Don't do that.
Restore me. Refuel me. Rejuve me. Look, man, you want to feel great again like you used to when you were young and the world was your oyster and you were in high school and you were probably just had a way too inflated sense of self. But you can get all of that back with Rejuve Me, right? Maybe HRT's for you, maybe it's not. The point is you're going to draw your labs, you're going to see where your body's efficient. It's going to provide them with a roadmap to create a custom plan for you, get you where you want to be. And never forget to ask about the metabolization optimization while you're in there. Rejuve Me Medical.
Yeah, go to the website or always pick up the phone, give them a call, 225-240-1721. Now, when you go to the website, there's a full list of the conditions they can treat for you, and that list is long. If you're not feeling right, if something feels off, get in contact with them, go in, get that consultation done today. You can do it on the website as well, RejuveMeMedical.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Good morning, people. It's 9 a.m. on Tuesday, March 7th. Your government taco forecast in Baton Rouge. Expect cloudy skies with a high of 71. Coming up on OTBOT, Nick Underhill of New Orleans Football joins the show up next to talk Saints. You can follow today's show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN, or catch us on YouTube at the 104.5 ESPN channel and subscribe for daily content. OTBOT, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
Yeah. Shut up, Danny. Danny just spent the last minute making me dumber by failing to form a whole sentence.
I was about to see if he needed me to revive him because he stroked out.
Do you smell burnt toast?
Are you good?
Are you okay, Daniel?
He said something, and then it was just a lot of mumbling after that. Sorry.
You know who doesn't mumble? Who only offers clear and concise football analysis, okay, both in written and spoken word form.
I thought you were talking about me till you said written.
No, our next guest, Nick Underhill. Nick_Underhill on Twitter. New Orleans.football, brought to you weekly by our guy, Chris Pratt. Nick, what's up, brother? Big day for the site today. We'll start with a little promotion here. I believe y'all have some promotions going on today.
Yeah, Carr, 20% off first payment on the site. We got a lot of stuff up there. The kind of day-by-day, minute-by-minute breakdown of how the deal happened, what it means for the Saints, what it means for Mike Thomas, Andy Dalton, just kind of the fallout, Jameis Winston, all that stuff. So, yeah, use the code CARR, C-A-R-R, 20% off first payment at neworleans.football.
So this is a classic NFL deal, Nick, and what I mean by that is the headline numbers read drastically differently than maybe the numbers do when you actually dive into them, right? Because you see the headline and you see an average of $37.5 million a year with $100 million guaranteed. But what are the actual kind of functional parameters of Derek Carr's contract with the Saints?
Yeah, so we kind of got the main numbers, and then there was a little bit of detail that's come out, and we're still yet to see the actual breakdown of everything. So it looks one way, and then you boil it down, it's another way. And then once we get that third layer, it's probably going to be even more reasonable. But right now on the surface, I mean, I think it kind of looks like a 2-year, $60 million deal, kind of with an option for $40 million. The third season and an option for $50 million in the last season. That $50 million season isn't going to happen. So it's probably going to end up being around like a $30 million or $35 million per year deal, which I think is kind of extremely reasonable in that range. I know Jake wanted it to be a little bit lower for Carr, but I mean, an extra $5 million on there isn't that bad if things are going well. And then look, you saw the deal that came right behind it, and Geno Smith is at $35 million per year. Yeah. So if we're paying both these guys $35 million per year, Geno might end up being better, but I feel a little bit more comfortable with the guy that's had 9 years of kind of consistent production. Although, it could be a little bit better. There's things that I think he could do a lot better, but I think the Saints ended up getting a pretty solid deal. And I think Carr got a solid deal for himself too. Look, he got himself $40 million, in avoidance by being benched at the end of the last season and cut, and then got $70 million guaranteed out of it. So I think he did pretty well for himself and worked out a pretty good deal.
Now, Nick, you were always on top of this as far as like even when the Jet stuff was circulating in the news cycle, you're like, I think the Saints are actually still in a really good spot. So what was the Jets noise? Was that to maybe get more money from the Saints? Because you always felt like the Saints were in the lead there.
I do think the Jets were involved, but like the night before this thing came out, there was the report about him leaning toward the Jets. And I don't know how he could have been leaning towards something when the Jets hadn't committed anything to him. They weren't going to Carr. So I don't know how Carr was ever going to them. But I do think that there was kind of a little bit of a stall for money in a little bit of posturing. It was never really about the overall dollar figure to Carr, but it's always a little bit about money. You got to get to a certain range, and then you say, okay. I think they were a little bit below that. Late last week at the Combine, they actually started going back and forth on the negotiation for the first time. Seriously, there was a little bit of number trading at the beginning, but Carr was never going to accept that trade. So he ran his process. He met with everyone. I think the offers came in. I do think that the Saints kind of were around that $25-30 million range at the beginning of it, and there just kind of had to be that little bit of push and pull to get it to the other side of it, and they closed the deal. But I think the Saints were always his most serious suitor, and I think he was always most serious about the Saints. I mean, he did like the Jets. I think the Jets were like the number 2 team in contention, but you start boiling it down, you look at their division, who they're up against. They're in the AFC, and they could be a good team and win 8 games, and all of a sudden Saleh's fired, and it's kind of like being back in the Raiders situation all over again, where there's instability and you don't know who the coaches are and all that stuff. So I think he made the decision that made the most sense for his career as far as having success and everything. But yeah, I don't think the Saints ever fell out of that pole position, and I think getting in there and pushing and being the only team that was willing to trade for him made a very significant impression on him.
Talking to Nick Underhill of New Orleans Football. Nick, earlier in the show, because, whenever conversations about the Saints and a big signing like this prop up, the immediate thing that's brought up is the salary cap. This may be a bit of lazy analysis from me, but I'm like, look, man, nobody spends more time studying the cap than does Kai Harley. Nobody's been better at massaging and finding loopholes than Kai Harley. If he studies it as his entire professional career and deems these deals comfortable for him, well, then who am I to sit here and kind of decry that? But you go a step further than layman. You have a further understanding of how the Saints accomplish these goals. Are you at all worried about the salary cap moving forward?
No, zero. I mean, the conversations we need to start having about the cap isn't if they can do it. We know they can do it. We see them do it every single year. So as long as you don't see a global pandemic out there that's creating situations where football stadiums are empty or they aren't playing games and the salary cap isn't coming crashing down, it shouldn't be a conversation of if they can do things. We know they can. They do it every year. At this point, I kind of think that people that get, up in arms and outraged over the same salary cap, like that's a choice just to be ignorant to how the cap works at this point. Like we know, we see it every year. It's a 10-year narrative now. Let's move on. The question should be, should they do it? Does it make sense? Is this worthwhile? Should they be moving forward with all this stuff? That's the question at this point, because they can clear $30 million below what they need to clear. So they can get compliant and then clear $30 more million. His cap number this year is going to be $7.5 million. They can have $23 million in cap space to spend. If not more, they can get a little bit more aggressive with some of that stuff if they want to and push it even further. So there is plenty of room to build a team around him. If they want to go for it, they can go all in. $23 million in cap space to the Saints on a free agency market where you're starting from scratch. They can do a lot with that money. So they can build this team out and have a very competitive roster this year. So again, the question is it worthwhile? Should you go all in with Derek Carr? All that stuff. I mean, those are the questions we should be asking. I think they should push for it a little bit, though. I don't know if you go Drew Brees after the 2017 season crazy, Super Bowl's on the cusp, but I think you make a somewhat of a push in a little bit, to be competitive. The NFC's weak. It makes sense. They're going to win the NFC South, or they should. If they don't, I mean, I think that's a massive failure. But yeah, there should be no concerns about the cap at this point.
All right, so what do they do with that $23 million? Like, what are some positions that they go after? Also, you were just in Indy. Where did they go maybe in the draft? I know a lot of draft experts have them going defensive tackle at 29.
Yeah, DTs, I think that's probably at the top of the list. And kind of talking to people, that was one of the things that sounds like it's at the top of their list too. I mean, the Saints couldn't field a team right now at defensive tackle if you made them play a game today. Yeah. So that's something that definitely has to happen. I think they want to try to bring Onyemata back, and I think they probably should. I mean, creating another hole there probably doesn't make a lot of sense as long as the price is right, but they need to get better. 2 guys at that position. So that's massive need. Possession receiver. Look, one thing I got to audit myself and kind of put a mark in the negative column here in terms of my analysis. I thought when they redid Mike Thomas's contract, it ensured that was done. Like if they were doing that, I thought they were gonna lower the number and come to an agreement ahead of time. And they didn't. And the deal that he's on now does have to explode, and it's not going to work. And he can't come and make $30 million next year. But there is a chance that he comes back, and the door is open on that. So I think they need to bring him back. And if they do, if Mike comes back to the team, they still need another guy. You got to backstop that position. Mike's missed multiple seasons with injuries. You got to have a fallback option, even if he's on the team. So that's a major need. And running back, right at the top of the list, huge need. And that's another place where some cap stuff could come into play too. If Alvin's suspended, like he's not counting against the cap during the time he's out. So there's a little bit more money probably coming that way. But yeah. I get younger at that position if I'm them. I'm drafting the guy as if Alvin's doesn't exist. Like, I think you need to approach running back that way and kind of have that succession plan. But they're in a decent spot. You know, there's a handful of things they need to address. I think DN's a big need. I get the feeling that they feel a little bit better about some of the guys on their team than I do. But I think that's another spot that they could definitely go.
God, the new studio lighting looking great again today, Nick. I mean, the eyes are popping right now.
Got to work. Got to show off what I got, man.
Let's go, dude. So, Nick, I know sometimes you wait until these moves are official to engage in your beautiful mind studies. Have you done a Russell Crowe, lock myself in a room, watch? I guess what I'm getting at is I'm trying to figure out, right? Because I've been advocating for Carr, and the counterpoints have a lot to do with last season. Because in 21, under Versace, it was great. In 22, it was a massive step back, despite adding Devontae Adams. And it's like, have you done your giant film breakdown yet on maybe why Derek Carr did take such a step back this last year?
There's a handful of things. Yeah, I mean, I think in general, he fit better in the Gruden type of offense. And I think there's a little bit more jazz and poetry to that, whereas there was just some option routes, and they allowed him to read the defense more and make adjustments, and they were able to kind of play a little bit more freely, like sort of like how it was with the Saints. Like when Gruden was a coach, like they'd call like 2 plays, and Saints did the same thing with Breeze, the package plays. They'd call 2 plays at the line and kind of allow him to pick one sometimes, depending on what he saw from the defense. And Carr was allowed to do that. And I think one of his greatest assets is sort of how he sees the field and processes things. And surprisingly, Josh McDaniels, I used to cover the Patriots, and I got my hands on their playbook one year, and it was just kind of like everything was set up off of something else. Like there was an option on literally like every route in the playbook. They didn't do that last year in Oakland, and it was kind of rigid, and you had to do things the very specific way. And I just don't think that agreed with him. And, you know, one thing that the Saints do that Gruden also does is they have that kind of famous dot meeting, they call it, at the end of the week, where the coach sits down with the play callers and they go down the list with the QB, and he tells them the things they like and he tells them the things they don't like. And he's kind of part of just generating that plan and feeling comfortable with what they're going to do. Didn't do that last year. So I think it was just kind of like not a fit, just personality wise and procedurally between the two people. And that was a major thing. And even guys like Hunter Renfrow, I don't think were special last year for the Raiders. The year before, again, a lot of option routes and stuff, and just kind of using the Patriots as a popular example, because we all saw them a million times during their little dynasty run, like sort of, you know, some of the stuff that Danny Amendola and Julian Edelman were doing, just, you know, reading defenses, creating leverage, all that stuff. Like that's kind of how Renfrow was succeeding. And then last year it kind of looked like he didn't have that leeway and maybe checked out a little bit on some of the stuff they were doing, and that wasn't as good. So I just don't think that it was necessarily like the greatest scheme fit for him. And look, the other layer of this too is that I know there's Jimmy G rumors out there about the Raiders, and we'll see what they do. Maybe he ends up going to Jimmy G, but kind of part of my thinking is if you're a survivalist and you were a head coach once and you're a head coach a second time, and you get rid of your veteran quarterback and you go to a rookie quarterback, maybe if you're Josh McDaniels, that maybe extends your window a couple of years and gives you a little bit more time to figure things out. So that could be part of this too, like as far as why they moved on. But overall, I just don't think that he fit as great with McDaniels as he did with Gruden. And Saints are very similar to the Gruden offense.
Hey, Nick, I want to go back to the running back portion of this, because we've talked about that over the last couple of weeks, and you were in Indy, so you got a chance to see some of these guys work out, and it is a very deep class, not only in name recognition, but guys that can go out there and help your team from day one. And you've got a long list of backs that you can find in the 3rd, 4th, even 5th round, I believe. Is there one maybe, though, that you think can fit what the Saints are trying to do more than the other? Because a lot of people like, oh, well, Jahmyr Gibbs looks like Alvin Kamara when he runs. It's like, yeah, but that doesn't always necessarily mean he's going to be a fit. So do you have one that you're kind of paying attention to more than the others right now?
Can I kind of say like the Homer thing and just say Tajay? Like, man, he's special. Like he is special. Watching him move, seeing him at the Senior Bowl. Like I think he's just a really good player. I like the fit there. I'm sorry, but like, again, this isn't like the most unique answer, but like I watch Bijan in the man, like I just keep thinking like if he somehow falls to 29, if you somehow can get him, he is a difference maker. I mean, he ran 4.47 and he's a heavy, well-built guy. The athleticism is, he's crazy. I mean, the things he can do, I think he's a significant difference maker. Unfortunately, I think he's going to go probably in the top 15, but it is a good year to be looking for a running back, as you said. Like, there are a ton of guys out there. And if you want to get two, and like, I think there's a strong case to get maybe a cheaper veteran and draft somebody, just because Alvin is going to miss some time, and maybe rebuilding the depth of that room is important. We saw it last year. Like, it just didn't work the way it was going, but it's a good year to be in the market for running backs. There are a lot of guys out there. But yeah, that's a spot where I think just my personal philosophy, I think every 3 years, like, you should just draft some guy like in the 3rd round, keep investing in your offensive line, just constantly be young there. And this has nothing to do with Alvin or anybody else. Like, I just would never give a second contract to one of these guys, like, ever. Like, I just think it's a spot where, okay, you give the second contract, you're cool for 2 years, and then by year 3 of that deal, you're kind of looking at it like, man, I don't know. And then the way they do their contracts, so that they balloon in the back end. I just think that's a spot where I would spend on my line and just keep young people in that position and just kind of cycle through it over and over and over.
Okay, so this is gonna be my last question.
I don't like that,
Jake. Yeah,
I don't like that, Nick. Chill out with all of that. I mean, honestly,
I said running backs. I didn't say fullbacks, man. I didn't say fullbacks.
I know. Look, and you're not.
Fullbacks is a thinking man position. You got to block a lot more. You got to do a lot more. So the experience is good at fullback. I'm talking about the running back.
Yeah, you don't got to pay them anything. They're cheap labor.
We are, but you know what? I mean, honestly though, I really don't even disagree with you, because like, you get to that second contract, it's just different at that position. It is what it is. Like, if you get to 29, 30, like, you've done something special. Like, I'll be honest with you, like, with each year that passes, like, I am very thankful that I was able to get 6 years at that position, because, man, to get to 5, you're right, to get a second deal, it's almost impossible unless you're like elite at this point.
Nick.
Yeah, and then just the mileage catches up, and it's just there's just too many studies on it. It's just kind of, if you're a team that's playing with the cap the way they do, like, I would be trying to find my advantage as a, kind of money balling it and not spending where you don't need to. But you get someone special like Alvin, and it's kind of impossible not to. That's one of the reasons I hate how they use him, because part of that deal in how I liked it at the time, because they were kind of using him as a slot receiver as well as a running back and being creative. And then they stopped doing it. It's like, the value isn't here the way you're using them. So, yeah.
Nick, last one here. The offensive line, reading about Derek Carr among coaches and defensive coordinators, there seems to be the idea out there, and it's like any other quarterback, I suppose, right? But maybe they're saying that he's more susceptible than others, that how much you protect Derek Carr is going to directly correlate to the success that he brings you. Are the Saints, they weren't from a grading perspective last year, but injuries and everything else, are the Saints an offensive line upgrade for Derek Carr over what he had in Oakland?
I think so, but I do think so. I think interior pressure is the biggest thing with him, though. If you can keep the interior clean, he's going to succeed. If you don't, he falters. And my biggest knock on him is just kind of how he handles some of the pressure. I think sometimes he speeds himself up a little bit. He gets happy feet, gets forced into some bad decisions, and I think that's a major thing. Is if you can keep that interior clean, he's gonna do a lot better. And that's a spot where, I think the Saints need to be aware of it. Like, Andrews Pete kind of giving up some of the stuff we've seen over the years could be a little bit more disastrous in this situation. So definitely a direct correlation there. And, the one thing I will say about Carr, like, I'm extremely in favor of them signing him, but I think people do need to realize that, like, he's not a savior of the team. Like, he's just someone that I think kind of raises the floor. Yeah. He's someone that probably puts you in the playoffs, and you can win some games because of him. He does have like a decent amount of fourth quarter comebacks and all that stuff, but he's not one of like the top 4 or 5 guys. He is what he is. He's a solid above average starting quarterback, and in the right situation, I think he could be a little better, and some stability I think is going to help him too. But definitely the protection thing is the biggest issue. He doesn't move the way you think he would, like with the 40 time and the athleticism that he has. There was an ankle injury, I think, 2 years ago that kind of changed that a little bit too. So sort of like Tom Brady late in his career, like that was the book on him. Like, you get interior pressure and you can beat him. I think Carr has a little bit of that himself.
Nick Underhill, NewOrleans.football is the site. Go sign up today. Promo code for 20% off that first payment. Promo code Carr today. Go check it out. Nick, thank you so much, man. Look forward to reading all the analysis.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Nick.
All right. When we get back, more OTB. Remember that. We can finally move on to Derek Carr.
OT.
You made it. We can move on to Derek Carr. You happy?
Oh, yeah.
Until we play Derek Carr mic'd up highlights the entire next segment. Not really. You know, Derek Carr.
You've been trying to find some good highlights, and you've struggled.
No,
So,
there's one. There's one video that I watched like 2 years ago. I was like, you know what? Derek Carr's cheesy, but he seems like a good dude. But I haven't been able to find it again.
Because you've been searching for about an hour. You don't have to search for an hour at All Star Toyota because
Well, hold on. How about this?
you're gonna find. Oh god.
Derek Carr was a literal all-star last year. Okay, you
Everybody
want another?
was.
You want another all-star car? You go to All-Star Toyota, huh? How about that? Jake? Get it? Carr. It's a car dealership. It's only dealing is all-star cars. The same day the Saints get an all-star car, you get an all-star car. How about that?
It's not just cars. It's SUVs. It's trucks. It's vans. It's so.
Aren't they all cars?
Nope.
Technically?
Nope.
All-Star Toyota Batteries.com?
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022.
Charles Hanniger, join us for the Tuesday edition of Hanny Time. We'll have more on Derek Carr to the Saints. Plus, Dwayne Colucci joins us from Las Vegas for Championship Week. Hanny Time, noon weekdays, 104.5.
tier. And right now with your friends at DraftKings, new customers, you bet just $5 on any game. So the deal got bumped up a little bit from last week, Jake. You bet $5 on any college basketball game, win or lose. You get $200 in free bets to play for. That's if you're a new customer. You sign up, use the promo code Baton Rouge. All customers, new or old, get a no-sweat bet during round 1 and 2 of the tournament. You go to the app, you opt in, you place a no-sweat bet, and if it doesn't hit, you get a free bet back up to $10. Sounds like a great time to use that for a parlay, right? Remember, you download DraftKings Sportsbook, got promo code Baton Rouge. Must be 21 or older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus issues and free bets opt-in required. One free bet issued based on amount of initial losing college basketball bet. Eligibility, wagering, deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball. Terms licensee partner, Golden Nugget, Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537. Jake, who should I be using my bets on? What's going on in the mid-major championships this week? How are we feeling?
All right, so last night we had the semifinals in the West Coast Conference Tournament. No surprise, Gonzaga and St. Mary's both advanced to the final. So looking forward to that one. Remember, they split the regular season title. I believe that Gonzaga might have had like some point differences as far as they have stake to the title. But regardless, right, still regular season title there. What are you doing?
I want like I feel like you have good energy. I want to get like some music underneath you, like some like pump up music underneath.
I thought you were giving me the Dave Chappelle wrap it up. I just started.
No, I want to give like a little like give me a little NBA on NBC. Yeah, exactly. Like yeah. Give me a little NBA on NBC. All right, continue.
So Gonzaga and St. Mary's, they're gonna play each other. No surprise. Both are firmly in the tournament. Both are really good. Top 15 basketball teams in the West Coast Conference. Southland. There you go.
Yeah,
a Southland upset last night. McNeese beat Nichols 77-71. ULL, Louisiana Lafayette, they won the Sun Belt. They punched your ticket.
Congrats
to
the
They beat
Cajuns
South Alabama 71-66. A big upset in the CAA tournament. Hofstra goes down. Sorry, Mario. I know you were a Hofstra fan.
Take him off the list.
Marcus Colston. They lose 79-73 to UNC Wilmington in overtime. So that was one of those teams to pay attention to. But now pay attention to them, but in the NIT, not in the NCAA tournament. Oral Roberts got another victory there in the Summit League semifinal. Oral Roberts, 29-4 on the season, 18-0 in the Summit League. Remember, they've had upsets before in the NCAA tournament in recent years.
Gotta love Oral.
Furman makes the tournament in the first time in 40-plus years.
Paladins?
They beat... Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
They beat UT Chattanooga 88-79 in the SoCon Championship.
Did I see a picture of Furman, Jake, where they have dens on their jersey?
I think they might.
Instead of somebody was making a joke about how they had pals right there in front of them, but they went with dens. Of course, a paladin is a holy fantasy warrior infused with the power of God. Hell yeah, Furman.
Another upset in the Southland tournament. UNO, shout out, 82-78 over Southeastern Louisiana. So, one of the Louisiana teams had to lose, but UNO, we're big fans of the program here on the show, so they got a big victory. An upset victory because Southeastern,
swords up,
12-6 in the Southland. They lose to New Orleans, UNO, who was 7-11 in the Southland. So big upset there. In the other CAA championship semifinal, Charleston gets it done. Charleston, God, most wins in the country. 30-3 now.
Wow.
On the season for Charleston.
Good chunk
so they might actually get an at-large bid even if they lose in their conference final there. Cleveland State is able to get a victory there in the Barbasol Horizon League Championship. Didn't know we're selling sponsorships like that, but hey, shout out Barbasol.
Was it a close shave? The game? What was the score?
It was 93-80, so no. In the Big Sky, your favorite conference that we talked about yesterday.
Yeah, the Mountain Valley.
Weber State beats Sacramento State in the quarterfinal there, 70-64 in some Big Sky action. Montana beats Idaho State 83-74.
Go Grizz. Why is Weber State always so good at basketball? I remember them beating UNC in the tournament when I was like 9 or 10 years old.
I
was at UNC. No, I wasn't at camp, but I just remember that.
I was about to say they wouldn't have a camp during the tournament, but I get what you're saying. And Dame Lillard.
Oh, is that where you went?
Well.
Yeah, that's the Fighting Dame Lillards.
Oh, that makes sense.
But now today we've got some action starting with some of the big boys. You got the A10 tournament starting today. You've got the ACC tournament starting today. You've got, as I mentioned, you've got the West Coast Conference Finals coming up. But you're starting to see some of the bigger conferences take place. Southland Conference, something we're always paying attention to here on this show. We'll continue to move on. I believe you'll have the semifinals today.
All right, that'll do a little March Madness update from our resident college basketball expert, Jake Hesper. And you may be like, what are you talking about? But no, trust me, look at Jake's bets. He does very well.
We did.
He does very well.
Remember, I do a 3-hour show, and yesterday was 3 hours and 45-minute show because of conference tournaments where we talked only basketball.
Yeah, and he also, yes, exactly. And he hosts a daily show only talking basketball. I think I need to maybe offer a point of clarification here that the DraftKings deal with the $5 or $200 in free bets, that is going to kick off on March Madness. This is conference tournament week. This is where you bet $5 on a pregame money line and you get $150 in free bets in your team wins. Jake, can you give us your favorite, when we get back, give us your favorite conference tournament money line bet?
Oh, it's money line? Oh, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Money line. So pregame. You just got to do pregame. You bet the money line. If you win it, that $5 turns into $150 in free bets. And remember, right now, they've stepped up their parlays where each leg you add, and this for new and existing customers, each leg you add adds 10% payout. So if you add up to 10 legs, you get up to 100% bonus payout on that parlay. So that's DraftKings, promo code Baton Rouge. Remember, 21 or older, physically present in Louisiana, select parishes only. Bonus issued is free bets, 1 boost per eligible game. Option required, 10+ leg required for 100% boost. Deposit parlay and wager restrictions apply. Eligibility in terms of sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. Licensing partner, Golden Nugget, Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
I know you want to take a break, but I'm going to hijack a couple more minutes here. I think I might already have my play.
Okay.
Vermont over Binghamton.
The Bakers.
In the American East, I believe, is the conference. So,
Vermont over Binghamton. That's what you like?
Yep.
Okay, bet $5 on a moneyline bet. If you're just signing up DraftKings, you sign up, use the promo code Baton Rouge. You bet $5 on a moneyline bet before that game starts. If Vermont wins, you get $150.
All right.
In free bets. With which
I got a story that I know that you'll appreciate. For a second year in a row, we have a conference final in a tournament that means nothing because Merrimack can't make the NCAA tournament. They won the regular season. They're the 1 seed. They're in their conference final. But Fairleigh Dickinson has already punched their ticket because Merrimack's making the transition from Division II to Division I, a 4-year transition period. So they're not eligible for the tournament for whatever reason. It's the dumbest rule that I've ever heard. We saw it last year as well. So you can't go to the NCAA tournament, but you allow them to play in the conference tournament. Now, Fairleigh Dickinson has already punched your ticket, but they're still playing the conference final.
Yeah, it kind of feels like they're getting unfairly dicked a little bit.
It's a meaningless exhibition game now, right? Because
sad,
you can give them the regular season title so they can put up the banner. They should be allowed to compete for the NCAA tournament because why are we transition years? That's dumb. Like they won it. Allow them to go to the NCAA tournament. And also, they beat teams in the conference tournament that if they're not eligible to go to the NCAA tournament, allow those teams to have the opportunity to go to the NCAA tournament. And Fairleigh Dickinson, how am I going to play this game? Am I going to treat it like an exhibition? Am I going to play my best players? What am I going to do here?
You at this point, you probably want to hang a banner, right? So no matter what, you try to win. But, yeah, I feel you. It's just stupid. It's just silly. All right, when we get back, we're going to try not to send Mario into a murderous rage, but we are going to have to address the New Orleans Pelicans. More on the other side. Keep it locked here on OTB.
OTB, OT. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further. like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf.
Join me for a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, reacting to LSU and Butler from the box. We'll have Glenn West and Sharif Ishak talking Saints. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
OTB OT with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
Like Sisyphus, the Pelicans continue to run uphill endlessly. as these are some shocking
uphill
numbers.
would actually be going in the right direction though, because you're trying to get to the top.
Well, I guess in my mind, I'm
you're
saying
rolling
it
down the
as-
hill actually.
In my mind, I'm saying it as you kind of thought you were at the top, early in the year, and then you're like, oh wait, no, we've got more to climb, and then it doesn't never any climb because you still suck. You're still now you're tied with the Lakers and you're climbing up out of the basement. But you're right, you're going the opposite direction. You're getting rolled back down.
They have the tiebreaker too.
David Grubb on Twitter points this out yesterday. It has been 128 days since the Pelicans last won a road game against a team with a winning record. They have been awful on the road this year. They've been awful on the road this year against anybody with a pulse. They have lost 15 straight road games to teams over 500. Haven't had a winning road trip since the first 2 games of the season. They're 7-23 when allowing 115 or more, 3-20 when scoring 110 or less. And, well, it's all just falling apart, man. I mean, I tweeted about it last night, right? It was halftime. It was tied. Herb Jones just hit a big 3 to tie it up. I needed sleep. I said, I'm going to bed. And I tweeted that I'm fully preparing myself to wake up and just be angry when I catch the Pelicans score in the morning. And lo and behold, what happened? You woke up and all of that anger and that take was justified. And maybe that's the worst part about all this. Is like John O'Barnes pointed out on Twitter, the Pelicans fumbled the proverbial bag. The Saints suck. The city was theirs for the taking. All the momentum was there. They were gaining hearts and minds, and now they've crushed those hearts and minds. And because of this fall, it's going to be harder to get the people to buy in again. Because what did all the haters say when we were all buying in? Just wait.
Charlie Brown.
They're going to blow it. Charlie Brown. You're going to kick the ball again. They're going to blow it. You're an idiot if you're giving your heart to them because they are going to disappoint you once again. And what did we say? We said, no, look, Lucy's changed. I talked to her. I'm going to kick that damn football this time. And now we look like a-holes. And when you make somebody look like an a-hole, they tend to not give you the benefit of the doubt again in the future. So the Pelicans are blowing this, but it goes beyond just blowing like a one-season deal. This is a more symbolic blowing that goes deeper, hits harder, and makes it all that much worse. And what sucks is that I'm finding it harder and harder to actually stay angry. Like, Mario, you're very angry today. Anger is good, though. Anger means you're engaged. I find myself slipping back into apathy, which is not where you want to be. Why did I go to bed at halftime last night? Because on balance, I wanted sleep more than I wanted to watch the rest of that game. And not just because I thought that game was only going to piss me off, but also just because what reason have they given me for staying up to watch the rest of that game? And now you're tied with the Lakers.
Again, behind the Lakers technically because they have the tiebreaker. But I stayed up until the end of the third quarter, and I couldn't take anymore. Like, I was mad. I threw a chair. I had to apologize to Danny this morning. But as far as what you said, like, I'm going to stay engaged. I'm going to care. Like, there's a lot wrong with this team. I'm not trying to deflect anything. But what was Coach Mulkey saying earlier, right? Keep perspective. Things look terrible right now. This team needs to change a lot. But it's March, and the Pelicans are playing meaningful basketball back-to-back seasons. That just hasn't happened very much in the existence of this franchise. So I'm going to try to be upbeat. I watched a full season of Dan Dickau and Birdman Anderson. I watched a full season of Gravis Vazquez and Al Farouk Aminu. I'm going to be engaged no matter what happens. But everybody from the players on down, the coaching staff need to be a lot better. You still have life. You can still make the play-in, which I think is a reasonable goal at this point. And, yeah, I'm still going to be locked in. But there's a lot they need to change. It's the definition of insanity right now.
The Kings are really good, too, by the way.
The Kings are great.
I mean, that's not
the salt in the wound, though, is that here
Yeah.
this team just came rocketing past you, and now they're sexy, and they're young. You know what it is, boys? The Pelicans just can't shoot.
None.
Like,
Yeah, no
it's
shooting.
just, does it not just boil down to that? What can every single Kings player, they don't play defense. The Kings have the worst defense in the NBA, and what does it matter? It doesn't, because everybody can shoot. Nobody can shoot. In an era of basketball where all that matters is shooting, nobody can shoot on the Pelicans.
That's going to be a major flaw in the playoffs. Not trying to hate on the Kings, but to your point, yes.
Playoffs? Playoffs?
I think he's trying to talk about the Kings.
Yeah, the Kings. I'm saying
okay, sorry,
but you got
okay.
the Kings
My
have
bad.
Golden State style. I mean, they have an assistant from the Golden State teams as their head coach, and so that's what they do. That's who they're going to be. And so I hear you, but who's to say that they're going to go freezing cold in the playoffs? Like, we don't know that. The Kings right now are in third in the West. So, like, to your point, T-Bob, though, yes, like, man, wait, the Kings passed you up and they're consistent and they're doing what their talent says that they're supposed to be doing?
I'm the opposite way. That gives me hope because look how quick the turnaround was for them. Like, people were trashing
But they
them.
made good trades, though, and they were willing to give up things to get pieces. So, like, they had a plan and they had a design, and, like, because they knew they were going to play that style, like, that's who they went and got. And so, like, you have to make moves. You have to have an identity. You have to be able to do things like shoot in the NBA.
And the Pelicans' plan obviously was built around their two max guys, but unfortunately they stay hurt. And if they don't make the playoffs this season, I hate to tell y'all, but I think they're just going to run it back, like unless they want to cut their losses and trade one of those guys. Exactly. But when those guys have been together, like, it's special. It's not just good. It's special.
Miss me with that.
Yeah, like I said, man, I'm going
together.
I'm going to stay engaged. I'm going to hope for a positive Zion update this week, which we're supposed to get. But with that franchise, what they say, you never know on the timelines. And we'll see what happens, man. But that can be something else that helps this team. They're about to be at home for 6 straight games. Got to double check, but you get a home stretch here. Not playing well. A lot needs to change, but there is a lot of season left. So let's hope it could be a good last 17 games.
Here's to hoping they can get it done, man. Closing out with Ask the Bench. Cold Coors Light, Vizzy Hotels, or Blue Moon Light Sky, Citrus Wheat next.
OTB, OT. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana Loyal. Always.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR. More reaction to the Derek Carr signing with the New Orleans Saints. We'll recap LSU Butler in baseball and Pels hoops. Join us for Tuesday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Is this what you wanted?
OTB OT with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
Tad and y'all, welcome back to OTB. Ask the Bench, brought about Cold Curse Live, Vizio, Tutsler, Blue Moon, Lock Sky, Citrus Sweet. Ask the Bench. T-Bob, give the percentage of being a Saints Falcons fan in your heart. Jacob, do the same thing on Chargers Saints. I don't think I want you to do it on Chargers Saints. I think you should do it on Chargers Broncos. MDK says judgment-free zone, gentlemen. I don't give a damn about Falcons anymore. Now, I did grow up a hardcore Falcons fan. And then in college, I sort of read the room. I was like, living here, might as well. I'm an old man doing Saints radio. I kind of found my way back. So, I mean, I have no, I don't know, I have no real, I would say like 5%. Like I have no real care for the Falcons at all anymore.
Look, I don't think you can be, like there's no halfway crooks, right? You're either a crook or you're not. Same thing. Like there's no halfway fans. You're either a fan or you're not. So for me, it's Chargers.
There you go.
That's the team.
There you go.
Right? That's the team that I played with longer than any team I've ever played with in my entire life. High school, college, pros. I was fortunate enough to be a captain there, so I have like something that means something to me that I can always hold on to. So I'm going to go Chargers. Growing up, it was the Saints for sure.
Speaking of the Cannon earlier, we should get him on this week to get his take on Carr.
That's a good call, Danny. Thank you. That's a good production.
Because he was high on Derek Carr like early and before we got Andy on.
Yes. Derek Carr though, like Jake Plummer before him, or like that's kind of the canons because I think it's the one that he kind of sees himself in. Those are the guys that he tends to really support. So yeah, he's probably very high on Carr, I would imagine. Ask the Bench, SEC tournament dark horse.
Oh, I like that one. Favorites are going to be Bama and Texas A&M. I'll go, if you're going, and Kentucky's obviously Kentucky, I'll go Missouri.
The darkest of horses, LSU. The midnight horse. Ask the Bench. If you were sold as an action figure, what would be sold as your two accessories? Probably like a pair of headphones, right? Or like a microphone, either a microphone or a pair of headphones, and a skateboard.
Mine would be
like a video game controller.
Mine would be
too consistent.
Mine would be a neck roll and a chain.
Yeah. Okay. Straight up.
Khakis.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some sort of fast food.
What about khakis and a burger?
Khakis and a burger.
What about you, Danny?
I'm gonna say black t-shirt.
Just shut up.
Black hat.
Just stop talking.
Stop it, Danny.
Stop.
Not even a video camera.
Yeah.
You're a literal video production professional.
That's not.
And we're
my,
not even getting a video
that's
camera
not
with
even,
your action figure.
That's not even
or
my
a computer for you to edit on or something.
Danny's job does not define him as a person.
Wait, video production is not your passion? Like
I mean,
black shirts and black hats are.
Don't define
retire, but.
Oh, I thought you just loved like creating, and everything.
Yeah, I like to be creative.
Yeah. Go to Patient Plus Urgent Care, patientplusuc.com, and you will see just how great Patient Plus is. Remember, the Holy Festival going down to Repentance Park this weekend, 2 to 5 p.m. It's Holy, H-O-L-I, Holy Festival. It is going to be such an incredible time, y'all. If you are looking for some family fun with the kids, maybe experience something you've never experienced before, I really cannot recommend enough going and check this out. It's a celebration of new life, of spring, of renewal, dancing, delicious food, delicious drinks. You're going to have such a good time. Again, Holy Fest going on this week at Repentance Park. We love you, and we'll see you tomorrow for some more Car Talk.
OTB, OT.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.